Be back, folks. Sorry about that. I don't know. Hopefully that fixes it. We've had this happen once before, and it also happened when we had like a lot of folks do it at one time. So I appreciate y'all being here. Hopefully that fixes it. I'm going to go through the folks here real quick. All right, there we go. It's showing up, right? You all saw the cheers from Secure Greatness. Woo! All right, cool. Restart worked. Thank you for all kind of hanging out and getting through that. Let's go and take a peek here. I had some folks I wanted to say thank you to. Another anonymous for 100 bits. Thank you so much. A hydrate for Gunrish. Thank you. Cheers to you. Thank you for the hydration. Have some lovely water this evening. We got the stretch from Hero. Rezo, thank you for the hydration. Going to go ahead and do a sip for you there. Thank you so much. Alyssa, thank you for the bits. Secure Greatness for the bits. Thank you. Secure Greatness for the bits. Alyssa for the bits. If you saw the leprechaun say, yeah, thank you for the bits. And Anonymous for the bits. I think we're all caught up, folks. Sorry we had to do the reset. Tonight is a class I love to teach my students at Resilient Coders. And it's the class I've been most excited to have with you all this entire time we've been doing 100 devs. Okay. So I apologize to do the reset. The notifications are popping back up. Thank you all from being here. And Jen, thank you for the gifted sub. So I'm going to go to Little Leon and let's get into what we're going to talk about tonight. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about what the heck is freelancing. We're going to talk about like why it's important to me, why I think it's important for all of your developer journey. We're going to talk about how to set up your online presence to facilitate freelancing. We're going to talk about finding clients, how to put together a proposal, a contract. We're going to talk about delivering for your clients. And then once you have your first few clients coming in the door, how do you reinvest and make sure that the things that you're doing are set up correctly? Like I said, tonight's a little bit different of a stream. We're going to be spending a lot of time kind of just talking through topics together. I'm expecting a lot of questions in chat. And then at the end, I'm going to have a Google form where you can ask questions. So this should be a slightly shorter stream, right? A slightly shorter stream, but we're going to have some time for questions. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have some homework, which is going to be setting up your portfolio. We're going to have some homework, which is going to be you making sure that your presence is right so you can start freelancing. And then we have one more class on Thursday before we take our break. So we'll be back to regular scheduling on Thursday, right? We'll be back to regular scheduling on Thursday with some more JavaScript. And then that will be the class that leads us into our 2-week break. All right. So the homework due date for the portfolio is tonight. I meant Thursday. So the portfolio, like your start on it, will be due Thursday. And we're going to talk about why you can get that done so quickly. Okay, so that's going to come up. All right. Let's go ahead and start jumping into this. Lots of fun stuff to cover. Lots of details, and I hope you ask a lot of questions, and I hope that it is something that helps you through some of these difficult times, right? When I started the 100 devs, it was for folks that were affected by the pandemic. It was folks that were hurting. It was for folks that needed a new career, a new change, and I'm hoping that you all can use some of these skills to start bringing some money in, to start stemming some of that bleeding, and to set yourself up so that you have wonderful experiences for when you start applying for jobs. All right. So normally we have some questions, but we're going to jump into it because we're going to have lots of questions at the end. We'll have a Google form at the end that you'll need. Remember that we're going to be having a break for the holidays. No class on the 22nd, the 24th, the 29th, and the 31st. So we're taking that week of Christmas week, and we're taking the week of New Year's completely off. So we won't have class, but on Thursday, we're assigning a lot of work, a lot of things to get through over the break so that you can continue to grow, continue to catch up, and so we can hit the ground running in the new year hard. All right. Remember, we've been ramping up, folks. We've been getting better and better. We've been learning more and more. We've been adding more and more to our plate. But when we come back from break, it's time to put our foot fully down on the gas pedal and take off. Okay. So you're going to use this break to catch up. You're going to use this break to explore and play. And you're going to take this break to rest so that when we come back in the new year, we're ready to start pounding and going and going and going and going. All right. Oh no, but this is my social life now. Gelati, I love it. All right. This is a stream where we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about contracts. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff that I am not an expert in. And so it's very important that I make this very clear right from the beginning. I am not a lawyer. None of what construes anything that I go through here is legal advice. You should always consult a lawyer. You should always consult a tax professional. You should always consult a CPA if you have questions. What I will be sharing is akin to bird law. What I will be sharing is the ramblings of somebody that's done this for a while, but I am not a professional. I am not a lawyer. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a tax professional. None of this is legal advice. I am not a lawyer, and none of this is legal advice. I am not a lawyer, and none of what follows is legal advice. I am not a tax professional, and none of this is tax or financial advice. I am not a tax professional, and none of this is tax or financial advice. This is just the ramblings of someone who has done this stuff before. Izzy, thank you for the posture check. All right, getting the posture advice. There we go. All right. Alrighty. So, once again, I'm going to say it one more time. I am not a lawyer. I am not a CPA. I am not a tax professional. Everything I'm about to share you is anecdotal and my experience. If you run into any serious issues, you should consult those professionals because they know way more than I do. What I'm going to share tonight is my experience, the things that I've learned over 10 years of doing this, some things that have saved my butt, that have saved my students' butt, but I'm not a lawyer. Cool? All right. I want to get that out the way. I want to be very clear, just because it's important that you know that. Also, some other biases that are going to happen tonight that are unfortunate, but it's just the truth. I am based in the United States. I have only really worked with clients in two countries, the UK and the United States. I am sure things outside of the US can be very different. Contracts can be very different. A lot of things we're going to talk about might be different in your country. So you're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to look things up. And the things that we talk about tonight might not be 100% applicable in your location. The way that you go about finding clients might be different if in your specific country. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about finding clients when you're not in the US. But the idea here is that my perspective is from the US. My experience is in the US. And so I know we have a global community. And so I just wanted to apologize up front. Your specific scenario might be different. However, if you want to talk through it, send me a DM if there's something that you feel like you want to talk through. And I'll be opening up more slots for my one-on-one sessions on Monday, starting in the new year. Okay. All right. Now, let's talk about the why. I've shared this story on stream before, and it's the reason why I enjoy teaching and doing the things that I do. And it's also been the thing that saved my butt multiple times. When I was in university, I moved off campus and I did everything I could to save money and make money while I was going through school. There came a few times over the summer where I didn't have money and I didn't have enough money for food. And I remember reaching out to folks that were close. They didn't have any money to spare and I was in a bad spot. And so in that place of darkness, it got bad. And for some reason, I decided the thing that I had been tinkering with this code, I said, hey, let me see if somebody will pay me to do this. I've been interested in entrepreneurship. I've been interested in starting a business. I've been reading and consuming and starting little projects here and there. I was blessed to already have some HTML and CSS skills. I was working on my JavaScript. And I said, what if I put a post on Craigslist offering to build somebody a website? And I put it online, and I shit you not, that same day somebody responded and they wound up being my first client. And they paid me a deposit, 50% up front. And I took that money and I skipped all the way to the grocery store and bought pasta and pasta sauce to last me the month. That was the moment that I realized my tech skills have power, that my skills can put food on the table, money in my pocket, and my life changed forever. That one moment, that one post changed my life. I saw code as something that could be an equalizer. It was something that could improve my life and the life of those around me. And I went all in. A year or two later, I would start a company, go on to raise millions of dollars, move to Boston, have a phenomenal life. But it was on that one moment where I said, what if I just post? What if I just put myself out there, trust in the very little skills that I had at that moment, and see if somebody can get value out of them? And it worked. And so when I joined Resilient Coders, the very first cohort I ran, the 6 week, or our program is a little bit shorter, but it was 6 week. At the 6 week, I said, you all are going to do the same. You all are going to find a client and get me a signed contract by the end of the week. And for the last 4 years, over dozens of cohorts, every single student that has gone through the Resilient Coders program has gotten a paid client by the end of week 6. That means by the end of week 6, the first 3 weeks are HTML and CSS. Week 4 and 5 are JavaScript. Week 6 is off. We call it Hustle Week. And they go and get a paid client. In the past 4 years, we have never, ever had someone not get a client. So what I'm going to do is I am going to teach you the small things that I know that I have passed on to them that have helped them get clients. I'm going to show you the very simple things that I do to get clients still. And it's my hope that you start getting clients and get the same realization that I had all those years ago, that your skills have value. They have value right now, and people are going to pay you for them. All right. So it's not just about the money as well. You're going to realize that when it comes time to applying for jobs, if you have some freelancing opportunities that you've done prior to applying for a job, there's something that I don't know how else to talk about this. I'm not the biggest fan of the analogy, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's the best thing I can think of when it comes time to talk about this. When you are applying for your first software engineering job, you all have a smell. You have a stench. And hiring partners can smell it. Folks that are going to potentially hire you can smell it from a mile away. And that stench is really a proxy for risk. A lot of folks that want to hire you for your first engineering job are very afraid to be the first to make that hire. They're afraid that if they invest all that money in you, it might be the wrong move, right? They're saying to themselves, all right, for some companies, it takes anywhere from 10 to 30 grand to get a hire through the door and into the job. And then if they're going to pay you an average developer salary, that's an extra 10, 30 grand 3 months in. So you're talking anywhere from like 10 to $60,000 just in the first 3 months to figure out whether or not you can actually code. Okay. So when you're applying for your first job, there's this smell, and that smell is the risk. And companies really don't like to hire folks that still have that stench on them. And there are some things you can do to get rid of it. And the easiest thing you can do to get rid of it is to get hired by somebody else. As soon as you get hired by somebody else and you've been there for a while, every other person now thinks, well, it worked out there, it'll probably work out here. And that's why your second or third job is way easier, like 20 times easier than your first job. Because that first job, nobody wants to take that risk. Nobody wants to put up with that smell. Now, you can help reduce it. It's kind of like taking a good shower. And one of the ways you can reduce that smell is by having clients that you have worked with. Clients that'll actually be good references for you. Alyssa, please stop calling me smelly. I'm sorry. I don't know how to explain this. It's the best metaphor I could come up with, right? When you're working with clients and you deliver a good say and you meet their expectations and they go on to become references, that makes getting your first job so much easier. That somebody that's trying to hire you can go ahead and talk to somebody else that you've worked with, that you delivered product for, that you've built something for. That's like throwing on a bunch. I see people in chat. It's like throwing on a bunch of Axe body spray before you walk into the interview. Something's a little sus, but it doesn't necessarily smell, right? Like it's helping remove some of the risk. You're like, no Axe body spray. It's helping remove some of the risk. Right? And the more clients you have, the less you smell, the less risky it becomes, and the more references you have, and it just makes getting that job easier. Also, for a lot of folks, a lot of the things I talk about on the Monday meetings, the one-on-one meetings, a lot of folks ask me about kind of like crafting their narrative. Like, how do I position myself so I stand out as a good candidate? One of the things you can do to kind of bolster your resume a little bit is to have good clients on it. Like, have good client work on it, have a business entity or a freelancing entity that you've been doing work through that's real to pad out that resume and to help with that transition from whatever you were doing prior into engineering. Okay. So for me, the why of freelancing is the money. I can't tell you how much life is different after you know that people are going to pay you for your skills. Like, I'm super confident. I'm confident that if I need to put food on the table, I can turn around and get a client. In fact, when the years weren't good or things were going bad, I freelance. That's how I made my money. There have been years where I have made more money freelancing than I have had at a job. Right? So it's something that picks up momentum. It's something that can help fill gaps. It's something that can help provide. And so it's something I want for each and every single one of you. So I hope today gives you a little bit of courage to start the process, a little bit of skills to implement the process. But I'm going to ask every single one of you to get a client. And so due in January is a signed contract to me. If you're in touring, you're in Hopper, you owe me a signed contract. You want to move from Hamilton into touring or Hopper, you owe me a signed contract. And when we come back from break, it gets good. You want to be in those houses because we're going to get a lot more one-on-one attention, a lot more code review, and private kind of one-on-one session. So you owe me a paid client. Now, are there some exceptions? Yes. If for some reason it is against the law or would harm you in some way to get a client, I am obviously not asking you to do that. Right? If for some reason it would violate a visa, if for some reason you can't enter into a contract, I do not want you to do this. Okay? That's not what I'm saying. Please reach out to me and let me know. Okay? If it violates your current job, that's probably a good thing not to do. Right? Would anyone pay me if I was 16? I'm confident I have what it takes. Yes. I have seen folks under the age of 18 successfully start freelancing. Risky, we're going to talk through all about how to find clients later on. Yeah. So there are some exceptions to this. If you fall into one of those exceptions, I am obviously not telling you to like do something that's going to cause you harm. But if you don't have one of those exceptions and you haven't reached out to tell me what that exception is, the expectation that you are getting a paid client. Now, I'm going to ask for it early January. We originally put down the 12th. That's one of the deadlines we're aiming to hit. It might get bumped a week or so because we do have the holidays. Okay. Mattias, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Tisnar, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you as well. So, I'm going to ask early January for your signed contract. The date right now is January 12th. We're going to check in after the holidays. That's the date you should be hitting for. Okay. Now, this contract should not be a friend or family member. You should push yourself to find somebody that's not a direct friend or family member that's trying to do you a solid. Now, if you have a friend or family member that legitimately needs a website, that legitimately has a need for your services, please go ahead and work with them. But we're going to talk about how to expand your scope. Not only just friends and family, but friends of friends, family friends, those all count, right? That's part of your network. What I'm saying is don't let somebody throw you a bone, basically. Like really push yourself to find a paid client. All right. Now, this paid client should be a web development client. You should be building code for them. I don't want you selling some other service. That's not the thing we're shooting for here. We want a paid web development client. Now it's up to you what that means. That could be a simple website. That could be a blog. That could be a full-blown minimum viable product for a startup. That's on you and what you want to get yourself into. I'm not going to ask you for the completed project. I'm just going to ask you for the signed contract. All right. WordPress counts. Yeah. Anything that's development work counts. Cool. You're shooting for a minimum contract size of $200. That's the goal. $200 or greater. It's on you how much you're asking for or what you're providing and how much you want to bill your services for. I think $200 is very, very low, but a lot of folks going into this process undervalue themselves and they don't feel comfortable asking for more. So they ask the bare minimum. Every single cohort that does Hustle Week, there are some folks that do the bare minimum and there are some people that make thousands of dollars. And when I sit down and ask them and I say, how did you get $1,000+ for your client, for your very first client? The answer is always, universally, I asked for it. I asked for it. So that's the difference here. And we're going to talk through that. We're going to talk through pricing and things like that. But value yourself. Value the hard work that you've put in. It's been weeks of work that you've put in. That's what folks are paying for. I don't care if it takes you 2 seconds to fill out a template and that's what you send them. They're not paying you just for that hands-on keyboard time. They're paying you for all the blood, sweat, and tears, all of the trials and tribulations that took you to be able to do that. Don't sell yourself short. Okay. Can we have a highest contract challenge? Ooh, I like that, Sabotage. Yes. Let's figure out what the prize is. I think whoever gets the highest contract with provenance, meaning that you can prove that it's real, we will go ahead. I will send you the merch of your choice, and you will get a OnlyFans match. So when the OnlyFans gets unlocked for the first time, you also get access. I went Bob over my dead body. So that's what we'll do. The everybody's going for the bikini. That's what we'll do. Person with the highest contract size will get the merch of their choice, and they will get the OnlyFans match. Cool. Excuse me. Aren't they getting paid enough to get the merch on their own? Hey, I don't know where y'all at. All right, so that's the why. You want to do it because, well, great. It's good money. It's good to have this idea and this belief in yourself that you can kind of like turn on this money faucet whenever you need it. And it really does help with your experience and that first job. Having a few clients is really going to help. All right. Here's something I always like to tell folks. I am going to show you how to play the game. I'm going to show you how to play the game in a way that some folks might have a lot of problems with. So my absolution of guilt starts here. I'm going to show you how to play the game. I'm never going to ask you to play it. I'm going to show you how you can get the things done you need to get done for free without any upfront investment, with doing it by cutting some corners here or there in the beginning. And I'm going to show you how it's played, but it's up to you how you want to play it. Thor, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone with the love tonight. That was awesome. Especially in the beginning. I think you broke Streamlabs on me. It was so much. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you all for being here. All right. This is something I like to tell my students all the time. There's a game to be played with clients. There's a game to be played with getting your first job. Some folks might call shady. Some folks might call unethical. Some folks might call it whatever they can do to keep you down and to gatekeep you from making money. Fuck them. We're gonna talk about it in a way that is none of those things. But for some folks, they hate the idea that you've only been doing this for a few weeks and how dare you go and get a client. Fuck them. This happens every single time. Every single time folks find out that with just a few weeks you're going and making money and I've been doing this for 10 years, how dare? Fuck them. As long as you are providing value to a client, you are helping them realize the things that they want and need, you are doing a good job. It does not matter how long your feet have been in the game. All right? Alrighty. So what the heck is freelancing? Let's start there. Freelancing just simply means that you're working as an independent person or company, should you choose to start one, rather than being employed by someone else. And employed typically has a heavier meaning. Specifically in the US, employment has some connotations around it that we're going to talk about. But basically it means working for yourself, finding clients that need the things and the services that you provide, and providing those services to them. Typically, you're working on your own schedule, on your own time, and you're providing a service to another person or business. Okay? Some other terms you might have heard people refer to themselves as when they're freelancing is self-employed, independent contractor, doing contract jobs or contract work, or has a contract role. Sometimes you might hear them throw around the term consultant. And then a lot of times, specifically in the US, you're going to hear the term 1099. So like I said, there's definitely a clear US bias in some of the stuff we're talking about. But you're going to find that these things apply pretty much anywhere else. Okay. So in the US, we have something called W-2 and 1099. W-2 are traditional employees that you can think of. You join a company, you're there every day, you have a boss, you work on their schedule, you might have a uniform or whatever, right? It's a traditional job. Versus a 1099 is a clarification in the US system of that you are not a full-time employee, that you are a contractor. And at the end of the year, you get these tax forms called 1099s if you're a contractor, and W-2 if you're a full-time employee or a regular employee, right? Now, when you're a 1099 in the US, there are some things that you have to keep in mind. When you're making money as a freelancer, a contractor, a 1099, none of the taxes are going to be withheld from the money that you make. You typically won't have insurance provided by the company because you're an independent contractor. There won't be any work extras. Like they probably won't give you like a laptop or an office space. That's all coming out of you. They're not giving you retirement benefits or matching 401k. You are working for yourself and providing them a service, and that's where the relationship ends. On the other end, you get to be your own boss. You get to set your own time. You get to pick who and when you work with someone. Like you get to say, I don't want to work with you. I do want to work with you. So you get a little bit more freedom when you are an independent contractor. You also get to keep track of your own expenses that you can write off come tax time. So the idea here is that when we're talking about at least employment in the US, you have a kind of regular W-2 employee where you get all those things like taxes withheld. You get probably some sort of subsidized insurance. You probably get some sort of retirement benefits or at least like accounts that you can use. 1099, you get none of that, but you get the whole check. And you get to set your own schedule and when you work, how you work, who you work with. And you get to keep track of your expenses so that you can write them off at the end of the year. Okay. This is the most important thing I'm going to talk about tonight. If you're an independent contractor, none of your taxes will be withheld. It is very, very important that when you are working as an independent contractor, that you set aside some money to cover your tax burden. Okay. Now it's going to be different for every country. There's going to be different rules. You're going to definitely want to research for your specific locality how much you should be putting away. If you're in the US, the average recommendation is like 30 to 40%. Like 30% is kind of good. 40% is like kind of over, like way over. But that's what I would feel comfortable with. As a freelancer, that's what I do. I take 40% of my check and put it into a savings account. So whenever I get like money is coming in for freelancing, 40% goes into a separate checking account, separate savings account. And as a freelancer in the US, you typically pay quarterly. Like once a quarter, you are paying your taxes. Okay. And so please, for the love of all that is holy, remember to set aside money and to pay your taxes. Your money will not be withheld. In the US, anything over $600 must be reported. And at the end of the year, you'll typically get a 1099 from the company if like you work with like a larger company, like an agency or something like that. Okay. So for all the love that is holy, please, when you make money as a freelancer, put aside 30, 40% into a savings account. Remember that you have to do some research here. Make sure you're paying at the appropriate time that you should be paying. And remember, I am not a lawyer. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a tax professional. This is just stuff from my own experience that I am sharing with you. And so it's important to kind of keep these things in mind. All right. Tonight we're going to talk about some funner stuff. That was the reason why the kind of ramping us up into what we're going to talk about tonight and why I think it's so important. Like I said, tonight's going to be a slightly shorter stream. I want to save a lot of time at the end to answer questions, and then we'll kind of call it probably a little bit early tonight. Leon, do you happen to have an LLC or something similar? Yes, and we'll talk about that in a bit. All right. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is an online persona and how you go about setting that up. Then we're going to talk about how you actually go about finding clients. We're going to talk about proposals, and I'm going to give you a proposal template. We're going to talk about a contract, so I'm going to give you a contract template. We're talking about how to close clients and how to get them to sign on the line. Then we're going to talk about just some things you want to keep in mind when you're delivering the work. And at the end, you're going to talk about how to reinvest and build up this freelancing empire that you're starting. So these are kind of the big things we're going to talk about tonight. And we've been going for about 35 minutes. We'll take our normal break at the top of the hour. I don't think this is going to take that long. So I expect a lot of questions at the end. And then we are going to, on Saturday, kind of also have a lot of time for freelancing questions once you all kind of start getting into it. What I'm going to ask to do is when class does end, that instead of kind of running off to do whatever you want to do, that you start working on your portfolio. So as we go through these portfolios, let's pay attention, ask questions if you have any about them. And that's what you're going to be spending the evening working on when we end a little early. All right. Your online persona. So when it comes to freelancing, you want an online persona. You want to have your ducks in a row about who you are and make it easy for folks to find you. The Captain Planet, our powers combined, is a portfolio, a good Twitter, and a good LinkedIn. Scary Barbie, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. All right. And so I'm going to show you some portfolio examples. We're going to talk through why they're good. I'm going to show you a good Twitter example. I'm going to show you a good LinkedIn example. Now, there are some folks that I've talked to that really don't sabotage. Thank you for the gifted sub. There are some folks that don't want their personal information online. For whatever reason, that's okay. If you don't want to be the face of your freelancing, you can set up an entity or a business that you work for. So you could go ahead and it's just like a sabotage. Thank you for the gifted sub. You can go ahead and create a persona that doesn't have your real name tied to it. You can create an entity that folks at face value wouldn't know who you are. And so if you're worried about kind of putting your name out there, or if there's some reason why you can't, there's also the option of kind of like creating like an agency or a company that you're working through. Okay. Sabotage, thank you for the gifted sub. Can we use little Leon? Bulbasaur Enterprise Codemaster. So the idea here is that if for some reason there is some external reason why you can't, your persona doesn't have to be you personally. It can be a company name or something that you do your work under. So then in that case, you would create a portfolio for the company instead of you. You would create a Twitter for the company instead of you. And you would create a LinkedIn for the company instead of you. And then you kind of are shielded behind it. I'm going to tell you that it is way easier to get clients when you are kind of the face of the organization because it's easier to talk. It's easier to have your portfolio, and that will carry over to getting a job, right? So like if you kind of put yourself out there a little bit more, that makes it a little bit easier for folks to find you. And when you're kind of getting that first job, people are going to look for you. They're going to search your name on Google. Right. And if you have a portfolio and a Twitter and a LinkedIn with your personal name, that stuff's going to show up first. But it typically takes about 6 months for that stuff to start showing up. So you want all this stuff to start marinating now. You want your portfolio, your Twitter, your LinkedIn marinating so that by the time employers are looking for you online, they're getting to see exactly what you want them to see. If something comes up bad that you don't want somebody to see when they search your name, send me a DM. I help a lot of folks, specifically like returning citizens, kind of hack Google a little bit to get stuff off that they don't want on there. If that's something that's going to stop you from being able to search for a job or do freelancing correctly in the way that you want, go ahead and send me a DM. I'm happy to kind of help with that as well. All right. Let's look at some portfolio examples. So everything I'm about to share, I have full permission to share. I've asked every single person for their consent, and they've all agreed because they want to help y'all. So here are two examples of portfolios. Both of them are my students from my most recent cohort of Resilient Coders. Ibrahim and Sean are both now engineers at Amazon. So they went from kind of some small technical background. Ibrahim had done some like networking certifications, and Sean had done a little bit of coding prior to joining Resilient Coders. And then the bulk of their learning was at Resilient Coders, and now they're both engineers at Amazon. They busted their butt day in and day out, but they did everything right along the way. And it shows because now they're engineers at Amazon. Okay. I put this money number next to their names because this is how much money they brought in for their very first client. Ibrahim brought in $1,000 for their very first client, and Sean brought in $1,495 for their very first client. They both consented to me sharing that. This is they're cool with me putting it out there. Some things to note here is that Sean was able to get a client and a job at Amazon, but never paid for their own domain, folks. You do not need to pay money for any of this. As always, something that I will sing from the rooftops. You do not need money to learn. You do not need money to build out your portfolio. You do not need money to get your first client. Do not buy a course on this. Do not think you have to buy domains. Do not think you have to buy a branding package. Do not think that you have to do all these things to get set up correctly before you can start finding your first client. No, you can do it all for free. You can do it very quickly. And they both did this in week 6. So by the end of week 6, Ibrahim had $1,000 client and Sean had a $1,495 client. Okay. Let's take a look at their portfolios here. All right. So here's Ibrahim's. Great portfolio. Very clear. I know who it is. They're showing off their past experience. They're not just a full stack software engineer. They are also a front end developer. That's what their specialty is. That's what they like to focus on. And they're a photography lover. They're showing off another passion that's not just software engineering. Okay. Put some time into a logo. You can create a logo for free very, very quickly. Let me go ahead and pull up the domain real quick. I'll do it over here. Namecheap. Hold on 1 second here. Namecheap logo. All right. Here's the Namecheap logo maker. You can create a logo very quickly for free. Let's do it. Let's do it live, folks. Let's make a logo live. Create your logo. All right. Company's name. 100 devs. Continue. All right, chat. In chat, left, middle, or right. Just do L, M, or R. Chat, L, M, or R. L, M, or R. Cool. L, M, or R. Left, middle, or right. Keep it an eye, keep it an eye. Looks like left won it. L, M, or R, chat. L, M, or R. Looks like right got it. L, M, or R. Looks like we toss up between M and R. Do M, L, M, or R. All right, now you guys you're getting a little aggressive. That's hard. I think M's are ruling out here. There we go. I think this is the last one. L, M, or R. It's middle again. All right. Favorite color in chat, please. What's your favorite color? blue, green, purple, red, brown, or orange. Blue's winning out. All right, it's going to do blue. Add a slogan. Nah. Pick an icon. Jay-Z. No. An icon. Let's do money. Oh no, let's do like developer. Developer. Some of these are interesting. I like that. How about I like that too. Let's do code. Something simple. Ooh, I like that right there. Boom. All right, let's continue with these 3 icons. There you go. Took us like 3 seconds. There's my 100 devs logo. I can pick any of these that I want. Oh, that's clean. Look at that. It's already on the business card for me. It's on the it just did merch. There you go. That's the next merch drop right there. Right? So the idea here is we didn't need to pay. I've seen some people do this. They go ahead and they spend like $1,000 on a branding package before they get their first client. Fuck that. Like, just use the logo maker. We put Alyssa already put it in chat. I'll put it in chat again. There you go. Just saved you $1,000 on a branding package there. Alyssa's too quick. Thank you so much. All right. All right. I'm saving this one. Hold on. I didn't even. Oh, clean. Look at that. I never did a logo for 100 devs. There you go. Boom. You know I'm on the link game. Yes. Trust. Respect. All right. So the idea here is let's go back to Ibrahim's. We were looking at it. Clean logo. You're like, Leon, how do I create a logo? Boom. Just showed you. All right. There you go. It took us what? A minute, 2 minutes. And now we have a super clean logo that we can start either using for ourselves or the business if you want. If you sell this shirt, I'll buy it. I bought 10 for myself. Thank you for the bits. The non's equal proud. I love it. Ooh, that'd be interesting. Jelani, I love that. I'll create a channel called like logo competition, and you all can use the Namecheap logo maker to create the best 100 devs logo, and then we'll do like a contest to see who wins. I think that'd be cool. I'll do it. I'll create a channel on Discord so you can share your logos. But I'm feeling this one. This is clean. I'm liking this. But you already won, blah, blah, blah. I did. All right, so let's go back to Ibrahim's. You're like, Leon, how to create a logo without buying a $2,000 branding package? Just showed you. Love that it says hire me right away. Like, boom, that's what he's here for, folks. He wants to get hired. Good background. Talked about themselves very positively. Talked about the certs that they've done in the past. And what you'll notice is that they talk about themselves so well. There's no junior. There's no this. There's no I'm trying to be. No. I aspire to help bring creative projects to life and demonstrate my commitment to developing world-class software solutions for your company. Talk about yourself like Ibrahim talks about himself, because that's how he was able to get $1,000 client for his first client, and that's why he's now at Amazon. Right? Some people don't like the graph thing. That's true, Alyssa. I don't know. I don't like selling yourself short a little bit, right? But I think it's good for if you're just trying to get regular clients. They like some of the flashy stuff. So I don't know. You can test it, see if you like it or not. I like it. What I like here is that they put some very simple projects here on their site. They're very clean. They are hosted. You can come and play with them. They have Calculators app at Netlify, that app, right? They're not hosting it. They're not paying anything for that. Super clean, right? I like that the simple projects that they did choose are very clear. They're like very well, like they're just clean, right? They look good. Even though they're simple, they look great. And so a client or somebody coming and looking at these would still be like, all right, this looks decent. I am a little bit more of a fan of having client projects on your portfolio or having like sites that you've built, like your salon site or things like that. But if you're going to include simpler projects, make them clean and look good. And I love that the aesthetic matches kind of like the experience and skills. So somebody that's hiring you or a client probably is not even going to look at these. They're just going to kind of be like, oh, this is like the next part. They're going to look at skills, clean, talks about their experience at Resilient Coders, talks about their previous history. You can see that they were pursuing, like that's a big thing. Ibrahim does not have a degree. Sean does not have a degree. I do not have a degree. But you bet our bottom dollar says that we have like pursued on our resumes, or not pursued, but also, what is the other thing that I always tell people to put on there? Expected. Like if you look at my resume says expected. I haven't been in school in 10 years, but my resume still says expected. Right? So like, that's what it is, right? And so there are ways to talk positively about yourself at every turn. Do not undersell yourself. Do not undersell your value. You have real skills, and talk about yourself in the way that you want others to perceive you, right? We're going to talk a lot about resume hacking when we get there, but it's something I wanted to show you. And then a quick way to get in touch. The beautiful thing is that if you're using Netlify, which I'm assuming that they probably are, Netlify makes it very easy to have a form that sends an email or a message to you. Literally on a form, you put the word Netlify, and that turns it into a form that you can capture actual information from. So it's super quick. You don't need PHP or some backend to do it. If you're hosting on Netlify, which I'm going to recommend you all do, you literally put like one thing on your form and it just starts working. So we'll talk about that in a second. So this is a pretty clean portfolio. Same thing with Sean. Hi, I'm Sean, your next software engineer. There's no doubt who Sean is or what's going on, right? They are here to be your next software engineer. And now they're a software engineer at Amazon. Pretty clean. Full stack apps, love it. A video game, love it. Something that clients could play with. Matching cards, love it. Another full stack project. If I was to do a little bit of a critique, I would probably bring this other full stack project up to the top and then chop off the bottom three. So I would be fine with just full stack project, game, and other full stack project. That's enough. And that's kind of what they have. If you click on Meet Me, it takes you to a little bit more about them. It shows you what they can build, what they're good at doing, and some more of their projects. Clean, simple, right? And what you'll notice is that Sean didn't even pay for a domain. He is using Netlify's hosting service. So he got his name.netlify.app for completely free. Did not pay a dime for a domain name. Did not pay a dime for a branding package. Did not pay a dime to host his website. It was all completely 100% free. Did not spend a cent. Did not spend a cent before getting their first client. Right? You can see it right there. And then their resume, which I highly recommend that you all take a peek at. Great resume. Talks about the technical skills that they have. Talks about their experience at Resilient Coders. You all can talk about your experience at 100 Devs. Talks about the apps that they built. And then notice right here on their resume, big chunk of their resume is freelance software engineer Charles Creative Content. That's what he named his freelancing business, right? And then has a lot of folks that he helped while he was freelancing. And you can notice that, look at the resume. Resume should be one page. Anything more, people are just throwing them in the trash can. But look what happens here. Contact, the kind of blurb at the top, technical skills, Resilient Coders, freelancing, and then just one other thing. That's it. One other thing. And then expected education. Not a completed degree, but expected. this resume, and they're phenomenal hard work. Sean's one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. He has the #1 rank on Code Wars for all of resilient coders. So absolutely busted their behind, right? But what you're noticing is the bulk of their resume is their bootcamp experience, their freelancing experience, and then one other thing. And so the thing here is that folks ask me all the time, Leon, what about my prior experience? Leon, what about a gap? What about all these things? Look at this resume. It's one other thing. That's it. That's it. One other thing. That's it. And now they're at Amazon after absolutely busting their ass for 20 weeks. But yeah. So what I really liked about this portfolio is that it's completely free, and it's even more free than you're realizing, because I'm going to show you why it's even more free in a second. So with a free portfolio, no buying of domain name, no buying some stupid stuff like a branding package or thinking through that, they were able to get a 1,495 client with just 6 weeks underneath their belt. Maybe a little bit more because they've been coding a little bit before program, but really 6 weeks of bootcamp, and they were there. Cool. Picture's good. Picture's good. You notice that they just have a normal picture, and then they just remove the background. Just remove the background. That's all you got to do. Have a good, clean picture. I took pictures. Everybody took pictures with their phone, and then I just photoshopped the backgrounds to look like they're in a corporate setting. If you look at our demo day, these headshots were just modified in Photoshop. I did all these in Photoshop. I'll show how to do that maybe at office hours. If you don't have a professional headshot, I'll show you how to give the studio lighting and things like that. And you don't have to use Photoshop. You can use Photopea to do it. Same effects for completely free. So that's what people did. All right. So those were two examples. Remember, I said the trinity here is the portfolio, the Twitter, and the LinkedIn. So these were some portfolios examples. Come and look at these. Spend some time in these. See what you need to have that clients will be okay with, and that folks that are hiring you are going to be okay with. Okay. Here's a really great Twitter that I like. Nyah was another graduate of Resilient Coders, phenomenal engineer, and now they work at Athena Health. And here is their Twitter. I actually really like the solid background, not having a photo in the background. A lot of times the photos are really cluttered. So just having a solid background, a great photo, of course. But then look about how Nyah talks about themselves. You're inclusive tech leader, founder, CTO, Afros and AI. This was their freelancing that they started. And also they landed some serious clients. I don't have their permission to share, but serious clients. Afros and AI, they also have a nice logo. I know this logo is probably the Namecheap one as well. So they have a decent business name. Software engineer in there, and then Black Tech Twitter. Right? So this is strong. If I'm trying to hire Nyah and this is what I see, I love this. This is what you need for your Twitter for every single one of y'all. Right? What I hate seeing is potential software engineer or future software engineer or junior engineer. No. Talk about yourself in the way that you want others to talk about you. Knock that off. If you have that right now, remove it immediately. Stop what you're doing and remove it. Don't put aspiring. Exactly. I hate it. It drives me up a wall, because then when somebody's coming to you, a potential client's coming to you, a potential person that wants to hire you, and they come and see aspiring, well, shit. I don't want to hire somebody that's aspiring to do the work I need them to do. I don't want to hire somebody that's aspiring to do the role that I'm going to hire them for. Get that out. You all have written code. You are all software engineers. Knock it off. Secure Greatness says recruiters don't search for aspiring anything. Cue Shia LaBeouf meme. Just do it. Just do it. All right. Hydration. Juan's 182. Thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. All right. So that was it. This is one of my favorite Twitters. Simple, strong. I love this. Yeah, we're going to take our break. We're at the top of the hour. We're going to take a break. I want to show the LinkedIn, and then we'll take the break, and you should change your handle during the break. So here's Andy's LinkedIn. So Andy is another engineer that recently graduated from Resilient Coders, and they're now an engineer at DraftKings, the fantasy sports site. So what you'll notice is that they're an engineer at, because they haven't updated yet, is a full stack software engineer at Resilient Coders. So you could put full stack software engineer at 100 devs, right? They talk about themselves pretty quickly, what they work on, what technologies they use. And then through freelancing, I help empower businesses in my community who lack an online presence and technological expertise. Whew. Whew. I'm going to say that one more time. Through freelancing, I help empower businesses in my community who lack an online presence and technological expertise. I'm probably gonna put that on my LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is hot garbage because I got tired of recruiters hitting me up. But I might put that on mine. That's the heat. That's what you need. Whew. Activity. They're liking some stuff. So that's pretty cool. Like that, you can see some of the activity on their profile. Their experience: software engineer at Resilient Coders, technical support engineer, and some community college. They got some endorsements from a few folks, showed some interest. I love this LinkedIn because it's simple. It's right to the point, and it worked. Fabulous job right now. Wonderful job. So you don't have to, I'm not asking you to do like move heaven and earth. I'm not asking you to like get in here and do a bunch of custom stuff. No, simple, neat, clean, right to the point. Anybody that comes to this LinkedIn is going to understand who he is, what they do, and want to work with them. That's it. That's all it is. In and out. Can we steal LinkedIn profiles, or is that frowned upon? What is it? Good artists steal. Where is it? No, good artists copy, great artists steal. That's the famous saying, right? All right. So that was the LinkedIn. Let's go ahead. We're gonna talk a little bit more. There's a big secret that's about to get revealed here. A big secret that's about to get revealed here that people hate when I reveal it. Everybody hates the secret when I reveal it. So we're gonna reveal that secret when we come back from break. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 5 minutes on the clock. Do what you gotta do. Hydrate, get up, stretch, move around, and change your goddamn Twitter profile. If it says aspiring or junior, get the hell out of here. You're all software engineers. If anybody asks you, you can tell them to come talk to me. All right. See you in a bit. Gonna put some tunes on. I'm actually gonna get up and stretch. How dare you hit us with the clickbait. Got some tunes coming on for you. Be back here in 4 minutes, 46 seconds. I'll see you in a second. You won't believe what this software engineer doesn't want you to know. All right. I'm going to stretch too, so I'll be right back. Not that kind of stream. If you want, join my OnlyFans. Oh, yeah. I use Crisco pretty much universally across the web. Would it be recommended to change it? So there's two things here. It's very common in developer communities to use like a nickname or like a moniker of some sort. Very common. So you can definitely keep that nickname or moniker and use it professionally. And then I would just say, like, on your portfolio and on your LinkedIn and stuff, you would also put your real name somewhere just so that Google Juice gets it going. Because when somebody types in your real name, you want them to be able to find all your stuff. So it's okay to keep your moniker and like use that across the web. Just make sure that your real name is on those places as well, just because it's going to help when you start applying. And like I said, if for some reason there's a reason why you can't share your full names, I'm not asking you to do that. You know you and the things you're dealing with. And so if for some reason you can't share your real name, don't feel like you have to. A lot of folks don't share their real name professionally and just use a moniker. It's super common in engineering, like very common. Whew. 2 minutes, 40 seconds left. Get up. Grab some water, change your Twitter profile. All right. Adding 100 devs to LinkedIn right now. Love it. I'm currently a full-time corporate full-stack developer. How hard would it be to pull in $7,000 worth of contracts as a freelancer per month? Very hard. Getting the ball rolling with freelancing takes some time. Once you've been doing it for a while and you have some clients that work really well with you and they keep coming back, it's doable. I have some folks that pull in those kind of numbers quite consistently, but it took them a very long time to build up to it, like 3 to 4 years to have that type of consistent income of clients, and a lot of hard work. Yeah. We're going to talk about LLCs and Fiverr and all that stuff. Yeah, we're going to get to it. Is there a certain technique to displaying a dev when current role is not that, plus where your current employer discovering? You can put like interested in and put all the keywords that way. So like, let's say you sell Pokemon cards and your title is like Pokemon card dealer. You could say like, I'm interested in selling Pokemon cards and tech and the intersection between Pokemon cards and tech. Current hobbies are building full stack web applications that help me sell Pokemon cards better, right? So like you hit all the keywords, you said you're a developer, but you're learning to develop to like sell more Pokemon cards, and now just replace Pokemon cards with like whatever your job is. Can we make a group of 100 devs on LinkedIn? Yes. So the reason why I'm asking for y'all to work on your portfolio and to create all these profiles is that we're going to share out the group and we're going to start adding folks that have everything filled out. So if you have your portfolio, your LinkedIn, your Twitter filled out, you'll get added to the LinkedIn group. Alrighty, folks. Come on back. Come on back. Come on back. Alrighty. Let's keep going, folks. Let's keep going. Alrighty. Can we do Zoom groups to code? You can use Discord, and you can actually, everyone can share their group, their screens and voice and stuff like that. We'll be doing more breakout sessions when we come back after the holidays. But right now, folks, we're doing that on Discord quite well. All right, so we looked at some example portfolios. We looked at an example Twitter. We looked at an example LinkedIn. And so hopefully we're starting to see some of these ideas percolate a little bit here. some things that you might start doing for yourself. But like I said, there's a lot of testing here that you have to work through. All right. So the secret that nobody likes to tell, and that people get really mad at me when I do tell it, is this. Go ahead. Only real developers will get this one. I'm lying. I'm joking. This is gatekeeping, but here it is. That's the secret. That's the secret. All right. I don't know if I should say the secret out loud. I should just let this linger so that only people in the know what's going on. All right. I'll say it. If you are not a designer, use a template. Full stop. If you are not a designer, just use a freaking template. Don't try and design. And for your first couple of clients, you won't probably be making enough money to hire a designer. Just use a template. It's so much easier. And every single one of you right now have the skills to modify a template. Templates are great. They're going to be responsive out the box. They're going to need some modification, a lot of tweaking. Don't expect to just use a template and it just you're done. It's going to be a lot of modification. It's going to be a lot of changes. And it's going to be a lot of finagling and getting it live. All that stuff takes time. But just use a template. Now, if you are a designer, go ahead and knock your socks off. Design something from scratch. But most of y'all, including myself, are not designers. So unless I am paying for a designer or my client values paying extra money for a designer, I'm just going to use a template. Now, I really like HTML5 Up. Those are typically the first place that folks will go ahead and find a template. In fact, if you look on HTML5 Up, you'll notice that this site is a template from HTML5 Up. Right? That's the secret. Shh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. It's just our secret. Right? But it's templates. Right? Completely free. My mans used a free template. A free hosting provider. Did not even pay for a domain. And brought in $1,495. And now works at Amazon. Don't convince yourself that you need to spend money to do this. It's just not true. No paying for anything. Free domain, free hosting, free template. And was able to make that kind of money. So that's it. Anvi, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Now, after you get your first client, a lot of what I'm telling you today is the first client. After you get the first client, level up a little bit. Grab better templates that make your life easier. I like Wrap, Bootstrap, and ThemeForest, but they're paid. You got to pay money for those, right? Your first couple of clients, if you have the privilege, should be reinvested into being able to do better things as a freelancer. Your first few clients are going to be messy. Your first few clients are probably not going to go exactly how you think they're going to go. Your first few clients, you're going to do things as cheaply as possible for free. But once you have a few dollars coming in, and if you have the privilege to reinvest them, you're going to start setting yourself up more. You're going to invest in better templates. You're going to invest in setting up entities and all the stuff we're going to talk about later. But when you're first starting out, don't start there. I know so many people that start freelancing by buying a domain name, going out and setting up an LLC, going out and buying proposal software, going out and buying contract software, going out and doing all these things, spending thousands of dollars before they even talk to a client. No. Start for free. And then as the money's coming in, if you have the privilege, reinvest it into leveling up. Okay. I think your first 1 to 3 clients should be spent you just save that money, put aside your taxes, and then invest all that money into getting stuff done correctly. Right. Do other web developers and engineers ever look down on those that use free hosting and free templates? Absolutely. This is the secret. I know I'm getting a DM on Twitter. I just know it. I could probably open up my Twitter right now and there'll be a DM. I know somebody's going to send me an email. Well, I don't think they should use templates. That doesn't look professional. Fuck them. Fuck you. If you sent me that DM already, fuck you. I don't care about you. Right? I don't. Stop gatekeeping. These folks are going to make some money. They're going to make some money. Fuck you. Right? Especially the folks that are here that were hit hard. Especially the folks that the pandemic has turned up something for you. Right? For folks that have lost a job, for folks that are looking for a new career, for folks where this money could be a big impact, for somebody to tell you, well, you're using a template and I don't think that's right. Fuck you. No. Right? Get out of here. Go away. Don't ever talk to me again. All right. I gotta, I literally just got angry. Thinking about that, thinking about that, fake person, I got angry. So let me come back. Let nice Leon come back. Gotta put dark Leon to the side. Come on back. Deep breath. We're a class in. Woosah. Right. All right. You're gonna start with free. Start with free. All right. So free templates. That's the thing. People hate it. People hate it so much. So many engineers hate this. But your clients won't care. Your clients are going to be thankful that you saved them money of needing to pay for a designer. You're going to pass that savings on to your client and they're going to love it. The site's going to look great. It's going to meet all their needs. You're going to do them a phenomenal job while using a template. You're going to do a phenomenal job of providing them business value. That's what they want. They don't care how the sausage was made. They just want to be able to sell it and make money. And the site that you build them is going to enable them to do that. Most of your clients won't even understand what a template is if they've never built a website before. So don't get caught up in that nonsense. In the beginning, use templates, provide value to your clients, help them achieve their business needs. And that's the goal. Hosting is free. You don't have to pay to host anything. Before, you used to have to pay for servers and things like that. For basic websites, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you can host them for free. Even folks that are like, Leon, I want a blog. I want my clients to be able to log in and create stuff. There are ways that you can host those sites for free too. You can use a static site generator and then something on the back end like forestry. Even your clients can take advantage of free hosting. So this is free for yourself, but it can also be free for your clients as well. So we're gonna actually talk more about that in the future. But for now, hosting's free. We saw this last class. Let's go to netlify.com/drop. Or do I already have it open? Let's see. Yeah, I already have it open. So here's netlify.com/drop. This is my Netlify account. Let me go to my desktop here. Let's go to, I think last class we had something. So I'm going to go to my last class. 1 second. I'm going to pull this up. Going to my materials. I'm going to go to bachelor code here and I'm going to pull up bachelor code number 1. Look, ready? I'm just going to drag my folder. Ready? Dragging my folder. I'm dropping my folder. We are live, folks. There we go. Site is live. We're ready to go. That took 2 seconds. It's working. Look, the JavaScript is working. It's working. It's live. It took 2 seconds. Netlify.com/drop. And then the cool thing is you can come in here and change this to be whatever you want. It doesn't have to be Festive Carson 59A999. It could be whatever you like, your name, right? Look. Sean Charles Netlify.app. Did not pay for this, right? And then if your client wants their own domain, then they can pay for it. For your own personal website, you don't have to buy a domain. If you don't have the money to splash out on a domain, don't do it. Just use the Netlify. That's it. You're done. For your clients, if they want their own domain, so if they want like mybusiness.com or mybusiness.net or whatever, then you need to buy a domain. I've used lots of domain registrars over the years. And you all know this is not like this is like there's no like affiliate links or some scummy stuff in here. There's nothing like not making any money off of this as always. Remember all the donations, bits, the cheers, all the subs today, that's a donation to the nonprofit I work at during the day. For some reason, like when people do this, they always put in like affiliate links and stuff like that. I just generally love these two companies. I've worked with a bazillion domain registrars over the years. I've used them all from the really, really crappy to the really, really great. Namecheap has served me well for a decade now, right? They have served me well. Whenever I've had a problem or an error or something didn't go wrong, their support has been there. I love them. I love this company. The only thing about them is they don't have all of the special TLDs, like the special ones that aren't just .com. So when I can't use Namecheap to buy them, I want my name, and that's what I use for like all the special ones. So if you have to use a domain, like if you want to buy your own domain or you're buying a domain for a client, I really recommend these two. But for now, you can just use netlify.app for free. You don't have to pay for it. Yeah, don't use GoDaddy. Not only are they like, they have a lot of things that have gone wrong with them in the past. They have atrocious support, and they have really sexist ads. Screw them. Namecheap, want my name. Great domains. And then every once in a while, if you're using like any of the apps like Honey or like the plugins that you use when you're shopping, you will find that sometimes you can get domains, especially with weird TLDs, like free for the first year. So it's not, I tried looking, I couldn't find any that were on right now, but I have seen them in the past where like the first year was free. It's very, very rare, but I have seen it. And so like, it was like the first year is free and then after that you have to pay, but that's super rare. And I'm sure you probably have to like put in a credit card anyway or something like that. So, it's gonna be really hard to find domains that are free. Like it's just not like a thing really. So you will have to pay for a domain name if you want it. And this is something that you're gonna factor into your price for your client. So this is not gonna come out of your pocket. This comes out of your client's pocket. And when you're building out your proposal, you're gonna put the $9 a year fee into your proposal that covers buying the domain. Okay. Should we be able to offer SEO optimization for our clients too? If you have those skills, why not? Yeah. All right. So these are my recommendations for domains. They've served me well for years. I highly recommend them. All right. So that's kind of like getting your online persona up and running. We are building out a great portfolio. Just use a template. If you want to buy a domain, go ahead and buy a domain. If you don't have the funds to do that, just use netlify.app. Set up your Twitter. Be strong in your Twitter bio. Talk that talk. Be the wonderful self that you are. Same thing on LinkedIn. Talk that talk. Be the excellent person that you are. The wonderful software engineer that you are. Talk about yourself in the way that you want others to talk about you. Don't do yourself a disservice and shoot yourself in the foot by not talking about yourself in the best possible light. If you're having a really hard time figuring out what a portfolio should look like, your Twitter should look like, or your LinkedIn should look like, look at the links that I've put here. Use that as your guide for how you're going to go about these. All right. Use a freaking template. Good places to find templates. Hosting for free, domains that I recommend. Let's talk about finding clients. All right. Leon, would you use a .dev domain? Yeah, sure. A lot of my students use .dev because they can't get. You should always try for like first name last name.com. But if that doesn't work, adding dev to everything is something I always tell my students to do. Like if you looked at Andy's LinkedIn, it's Andy Vasquez Dev. It's dev at the end, but it's not just first name last name. They added dev to the end. And a lot of my students will have that consistent across their domain, their Twitter, and their LinkedIn. Like just keeping that consistent. So if you're finding that that's a change, I'm feeling imposterous at this point to change my Twitter and LinkedIn to sound like a software dev. Not sure I could back that up, you know? Have you written a line of code? If so, you can back it up. And if somebody gives you any hard time, tell them to come talk to me. I'll talk to them. I'll be like, yo, O'Neill's the best developer I've ever seen. They're writing great code. Get out of here. Thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. All right. Yeah, .tech, .dev. I think any of those are fine. Long gone are the days where you need a .com. It took me like 8 years to get, well, probably more than that. Probably like 10 or 12 years to get my name. Telefang said, so fake it till you make it. So that's the slide I said at the beginning. I'm going to show you how to play the game. It's up to you if you want to play the game. I'm going to show you how it's played. It's up to you to make the decision to play it. The folks that play the game get jobs. That's all I could say. The folks that play the game get clients. The game's the game. You want to play it? That's up to you. I can't tell you to play it. I'm going to show you how it's played. I'm going to show you all the people on the field, how they interact, who hates who doesn't like who kicks the ball to who. But it's up to you to say, I'm going to play it. Cool. Finding clients. Start close. And this has, once again, I'm saying a very U.S. heavy bias. If you're not coming from the United States, this might be slightly different, and we'll talk about that. Start close. Let your friends and family and those close to you know, hey, I'm a software engineer. I am looking for clients. And then explain to grandma what that means. Explain to grandma that you want to build websites for folks. And if they ever need a website, that they should come talk to you, right? You will be surprised whose aunt's brother's mother, second removed, was at the hair salon and they heard that you build websites and they had just started a new lawn care business and they need a website. You will be surprised who comes out of the woodwork, right? You will be surprised who comes out of the woodwork to say, oh, I need a website. Then once you've told friends and family, put it out there on the internet. Put it on any social media that you have and just put yourself a little bit out there. I know for some folks, this first step is the hardest. Just say, hey, I am doing freelance web development. If you need a website or web application, let me know. Happy to help. Right? You will be surprised that that person that sat behind you in math class in 10th grade, well, they just started a company and they need a website. You will be surprised the number of folks that once you put it out there into the world that come to you and say, I want your help. The number of 100 dev folks that have already said that they have inbound interest from clients just from doing this is pretty high. All right. Once you've gone close, go local. When you are networking, when you are at these networking events that you have to go to anyway, when you introduce yourself, you should say, I'm a software engineer and I do freelance web development. Every single time. Whenever you introduce yourself, the words that should come out of your mouth is I'm a freelance web developer. I build websites and web applications for businesses in the, and then you could say like San Francisco area or the Boston area. every single time. Because I guarantee you, if you're going to networking events, there are folks there that want to start companies, that want to start businesses, that are trying to get a website or web application up, right? And as soon as they hear, their eyes are going to get big and their ears are going to perk up and they'll be like, I'm going to move my hair out the way. You build websites, right? And then that'll lead to some clients. Mansa said, Bob Vance, Bob's refrigeration. Bob Vance, Vance refrigeration, right? Every single time in the office, Bob Vance introduces himself, Bob Vance, Vance refrigeration, Bob Vance, Vance refrigeration. You need to be saying, here, Bob, come on. I'm Bob Boberson of Boberson Freelance Web Development and Web Design Services. Hello, I am Bob Boberson. I'm a freelance web developer, or I'm Bob Boberson of Boberson's Freelance Web Development. I build websites and web applications, right? And so you need to have that ready to go, right? And it's funny, but the more you do it, the more folks that know you're a developer, and when they need a developer or their friend needs a developer, they're going to remember you and they're going to go to you. Now, you don't have to get like weird with it. You don't have to be like Bob Vance from The Office, but whenever somebody asks you like, hey, what do you do? Like, you explain, I'm a freelance web developer, right? Every single one of you right now, I have just decreed you are now a freelance web developer. Go out and freelance, right? And so if you need it that decree, you are now, I'll send you your certificate in the mail. You are now a freelance web developer. Go out there and do it. Okay? You did it. All right. Now here's another one that people hate on. People hate Craigslist. It's the first place that I've ever gotten my clients from, and I still look through it at least once a week. I've found some real gems on Craigslist, especially if you live in a big metro area. But it doesn't have to just be Craigslist. It can also be any other kind of like local place. Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, any of these places where you could post about your services or find people asking for services. Do both. Post your services on there and ask for your services. Now, each location is going to have wildly different places. I see folks putting in chat like the ones that they use, right? If you are, as Kev said, in the sticks or in the middle of nowhere, pick the largest metro area that's the closest to you. So if you're in the middle of nowhere, pick the largest city that's close to you and use that as your base of operation, right? Ooh, Juanita George said, great. Yeah, Facebook groups are big for this. Nextdoor, all these places that are local. Make a post. Hey, I'm a freelance web developer in the area. I would love to help, right? And this is one of those things that sucks if you're not from a big area or an area where folks would be hiring freelance talent. But your locality is a really big selling point. For a lot of folks that, like, if they're in Boston, they're way more likely to hire a developer that's in Boston or the Boston area than they are from somewhere else. And so if you have the privilege of being in a locality where folks would actually hire, use that to your advantage. It's just one of those things that's a reality, and it will set you apart from the other folks that are reaching out to them. Because when somebody posts on Craigslist, they need a web developer, they have people from all over. I don't care if it's in Nashville, Tennessee's Craigslist. They're going to have developers from all over the world sending the messages. And your email to them should be, hey, I'm located in Nashville, right down the street from that famous food place. Would love to help out. You're remote right now. Nobody's meeting you at that famous hot dog place in Nashville. But still mentioning that you are local is going to put you in front of the line. I would even put that in the subject of your email. Nashville local, love me some famous hot dog spot, would love to talk about your website needs. Your locality can be really a big factor. And so if you have the privilege of having one, use it. Then the next step is, so we've told friends, family, social media. We've put out, whenever we're networking, that we're doing it. We've done the local listings, both posting and responding. Then it's time to look at places that you know. And ideally places that know you. Like if you have like a chicken spot, or if you have like a restaurant that you always go to, a hair salon that you always go to, a barber that you always go to. If you have these places, a gym, yeah, that's a good one. If you have these places that you go to or that you used to go to before the pandemic, and they might have a vague idea of who you are, right? If you have like a vague idea of who you are, just let them know, hey, I saw that your website hasn't been updated in a very long time. I just want to let you know I'm a web developer. If you ever need help with it, let me know. I think you might be leaving some clients on the line here. I feel like if your website was better, you might be able to get more clients in the door. That's it. No high pressure sales tactics, no anything. Just, hey, I've been coming here for years. I noticed your website has been updated in a very long time. If you think that's impacting your ability to get new customers, let me know. I'm happy to help. This is where a bulk of my students get their first client. The barber they've been going to since they were little doesn't have a website. So they go ahead and, well, they ask the barber, they say, hey, you have a website? I think right now everyone's going digital. You're probably hurting for some customers. Let's do everything possible to make sure you're getting customers in the door. All right? And so, I mean, what's the worst that happens? Maybe you get some free wontons next time you order, right? But that's the places you know. And then the outbound starts. If you want to do it. This is for, a lot of folks have trouble doing outbound. Like where you're going to be reaching out to folks that you don't even know, that are cold, that you've never talked to. But I've done it. I've done it a lot, and I've done it to great success. And I've had my students do it. I've had my students cold call. People hate cold calling. But here's the thing. Nobody cold calls anymore. It's either like a robot or something weird, but nobody like picks up the phone and talks to people. And so I've asked my students that were struggling to get clients to cold call. It works. It works really well. I'm going to show you this right here. One of the first hustle weeks I did with Resilient Coders, we created a fake website called instadyne.tech. I tried finding it. It's no longer online. This is four plus years ago. We created a fake organization. We used a template. It was a agency that specialized in building out websites for restaurants. And so in the morning, we had 2 people work on the templated website. They had that up and running very quickly within the hour. Then everyone in the cohort spent the next 3 hours before lunch, the next 2 hours before lunch, finding every restaurant that we could find in the Boston area. All right. And we did this sheet. This is all public information, so I don't think there's anything bad in showing it, but like, don't call these people or something weird like that. So here it is. We went and found every business that was a food, like a restaurant. And we said, did they have a website? Yes or no? And was it, probably should have fixed that. Was it shitty? That was what we looked. We looked at every restaurant we could find. And we said, do they have a website? And if they did, was it bad? We grabbed their location and we grabbed their phone number. And then we dialed for dollars. Red were folks that didn't answer or like told us to like go away. Like don't talk to me. That was like, don't talk to me. Blue was like, we got something like positive, but like we probably have to call back. And then green was like, we got through to someone and they haven't like cursed us out yet. Right. And so this is what I like to call dialing for dollars. And you can see like we each did it. We each broke it up. We broke it up into individuals. Each of us had like different folks that we were listening to, and it just worked. We went through and we called them all. And by the end of the day, we had 2 clients. In one day, we got 2 clients by doing this. Nobody wants to do it. It's hard work. It's awkward. It's weird picking up the phone and saying, hey, I'm so-and-so. Can I talk to the manager? I want to build you a website. But literally in one day, we went from no agency to an agency that had 2 clients in one day, just by building a templated agency website, building a list, and then calling and being kind and warm and wanting to help them. Like, don't go into freelancing if you don't want to help people. Like, don't do it. Like, if you're here to like scam and like to like just like not actually provide value to folks, don't do this. But there are so many folks right now, so many restaurants that are trying to digitalize, so many restaurants that are losing out on customers during the pandemic, and they want to know how to get themselves online. You can help. Right? You can help. And so that's what I mean by pick a niche. Pick something that that you can specialize in, something you can get really good at, something that like you can provide value because you put research into. Like if you picked restaurants, you're going to want to know how to bring their digital ordering online. You're going to want to know how to build out a site so that it can accept orders and all that stuff. That's a couple weekends of work to get good at that. But then that's an immense value you can provide to them. It's not just engineering muscle. It's the consulting and the business value that you can provide to them, right? These folks that are in the kitchen for 12 hours a day trying to keep their food going out, they have no time to learn how to do this. They have no time to sit around and fiddle with even things that are easy like Squarespace or things like that, right? Like they just don't have the time. They don't have the expertise. And when they get stuck, they don't want to be stuck. They rather pay you to do this, right? And so people always feel weird like asking businesses if they need help. You're not like holding them hostage and forcing them to buy your website. You're saying, hey, look, if you're experiencing these pains, if you're experiencing like a loss of customers, I can help with that. I can provide value here. I can bring you online. I can help you build your website. I can help you build your presence to help. Right? So that's what we did. I'm going to show you our like, this is not some big brain. I'm really good at this. I've done sales. No, I sucked at this, but we still got 2 clients by the end of the day. Here was the really bad calling script that we used. I'm not making this shit up. This is what we did. Mansa, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Here's the calling script. This is my 300 IQ calling script right here. Hi, this is Leon. Do you have a website where I could see your menu? Huh, odd question. But is the business owner available? No. What is his or her name and when are they normally around? Why do you ask? Well, I'm a Boston-based web developer. I make websites and would love to help out a local business. Yes, I am the owner. Great. I am a Boston-based web developer. I make websites and would love to help out a local business. Yes, they are busy. Great. I will call back in a few minutes. Thank you. And then we just had like these like notes. It should be a conversation. You should always be closing, like you should always be trying to close the sale. And then to make folks like get over the awkwardness and the uncomfortableness that is talking to clients, I didn't let any of them hang up until somebody had to agree to at least $100 package or they hung up on them. That was it. And they did this for every single person they called. They just were not allowed to hang up. They had to be nice and calm, not being forceful, keep explaining what you do, how you do it, but keep asking more questions, seeing how you can provide value, be of help. And they were not allowed to hang up. And I was sitting there listening. And they either agreed to a package or the person hung up on them. That was it. That's what they did. So some of the things that we would talk to them about is that thousands of people are searching for restaurants to eat at, and you're not even in the running because you don't have a website. You're not on Uber Eats. You're not on these platforms where folks will be trying to find you. This is a little bit different now that like Uber and DoorDash and all this stuff has kind of changed. Individuals under 35, aka people that eat out the most, are more likely to eat at a restaurant who have a website. This is true. This is big facts. People are trying to find you online. So what we would do is we would look up how many people had like searched for them or see what their search volume looked like. We had like a keyword research tool that we were using for this. And so for some of them, we were able to see like, oh, people are looking for you and they can't find you. And that's what we talked about. This is kind of it. This is not some like elite like sales academy that you paid $20,000 for the training. No, this was a very simple script. It was just to get a conversation going. It was to find who the person that owned the business was. And we did this for a day. And at the end of the day, we had sold 2 packages. And the funny thing is, nobody bought the $100 package. Nobody bought one. We sold one for $500, and this has been a while. I want to say like $500 and $800 were how much we got by the end of the day. Which, if you're making minimum wage, landing a $500 to $800 client in one day, that's huge. And that's what we were able to do. Rezo, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. We're going to talk about pricing. We're going to talk about that in a few seconds here. A package was just like the services we were providing. Like a simple website was like $100. Like we were like, hey, look, we will get a website up for you in a half hour using a template for $100. That was it. That was the package. I will get a website up for you that'll look beautiful. We'll have all your contact information. People will be able to start finding you online, and we'll get this up and running for you in literally less than an hour. That's what we said. Nobody bought it, but that's what we said. We wound up with a $500, and I believe it was an $800 client by the end of the day. That was a couple years ago. And guess what? You get good at talking to people. The first few times it's awkward. You have no idea what to say. But if you're being honest and you're trying to help them, that's how you should have this conversation. Hey, I'm a web developer. I want to help you build a website. I want to help you get online. I want to help people to help find you. And that's kind of where you start. And then, of course, you can watch more videos. I sent you the Fuck You Pay Me video. All of his videos, Mike Montanero's videos, are gold. All the videos that come up around that about how to find clients, how to deal with clients are gold. Watch them. Learn the tips and tricks. I'm giving you the very, very minimum basics here, but you can go off the deep end on how to do sales correctly. You can go off the deep end on how to find clients correctly. There's so much free information out there about this that you can take it and go further. Excuse me. All right. The outbound, you build a list, you dial for dollars. I showed you my examples. And being local is your biggest asset there. Being local is the thing that's going to help you stand out from all the other folks that are reaching out to them. All right. So after you have started close, you've gone local, you've tried outbound, maybe it's time to go a little wide here. Gig sites, people typically refer to them as a race to the bottom, which I hate that saying, but it's what people refer to it as. So gig sites are like Upwork or Fiverr or things like that. Can you get clients from these sites? Yes. The quality is often not the best. And often you'll put a lot of effort into responding to folks, reaching out to folks, but realize you're competing against thousands of other people that are doing the exact same thing. So for folks that are remote, for folks that don't have a locality that's close to them, or for folks that are coming from a place where most folks might not hire folks from traditionally, the gig sites can be a place to start. but you got to make yourself stand out. You got to have a great profile. You got to do the initial challenges that they give you. And you have to price high. Don't race to be the lowest price. That's not going to work. Price yourself higher than every other person that's trying to lowball them on these sites. Because when people see that higher price, they think of value. They think that you might be able to provide a better service. That's the only time I've really seen the gig sites work really well for new folks, right? Don't race to be the lowest price. Position yourself as an authority, right? Position yourself as somebody that knows what they're doing. And if you are remote, if you're not in a local area, you must build your authority. You must build up folks trusting you to do the work. And this is the hard, it's so shitty that you have to do it, but it's true. Pick a niche, build a blog around that niche. If restaurants are your thing, build out a blog about how you help restaurants, right? How you help restaurants increase their revenue. Put a post every week. Spend your time on it. Like if you want to freelance and you're in a place where you're not local and there's no local market for it, you have to build your authority so that when somebody Googles your name or they Google your agency name, they see a year's worth of posts about how you help restaurants. That's going to be like, all right, well then this person knows what they're talking about, even though they're in a country where I typically wouldn't kind of source work from because like that's something that's real and I'm not going to lie that it isn't. You can build authority to get around that. And it takes time. And all of this stuff has to marinate. That's why I want you to start now. Build your portfolio now. Build your Twitter now. Build your LinkedIn now. It takes 3 to 6 months before any of this starts showing up online. So if you committed yourself to doing a blog a week, by the time that 6 months rolls around and you're starting to show up in the search engines, you're there. And a lot of this stuff, it's going to be your job to figure out. I see a lot of folks asking questions. What about if they want X or what if they want Y? You are all software engineers. You get paid to figure out hard problems. If somebody wants a blog on their website, it's your job to figure out how to make that happen. If somebody wants to accept orders on their website, it's your job to figure it out. If somebody wants to put music on their site that they upload regularly, that's your job to figure out. If when they make a podcast, they want it to show up on a bunch of platforms, that's your job to figure out. That's providing business value. You're not just a software engineer anymore, right? We already knew you were a software engineer, but you've been decreed a freelancer today. And it's your job to provide business value to these folks. It's not just websites and web applications. It's providing what they need for their business to succeed. And a lot of time that takes you doing research to do it. And so when you're building out your proposals, which we're going to talk about in a second, you're going to do that research to help them. And as long as you're doing this and in a way that is caring and that you want their business to succeed, you're doing a good job. Okay. And then if you get stuck, hit us up on Discord. Send me a DM. Leon, my client wants to do X. I don't know how to do it. Send me a message on Discord. All right. So we started finding clients and somehow you hooked one. You got one that's interested in what you're able to do, right? You're interested in what they're trying to do. And so they're interested in what you're able to do. And so you send them a proposal that they can't refuse. And at first, your proposals are going to suck. Your proposals are just not going to be good. That's okay. As you get your first few clients, your proposals will get better. You'll have maybe some resources to invest in building out better proposals. But in the beginning, they're not going to be the best. And that's okay. But what is a proposal? A proposal is an outline of everything that you're going to be able to provide to your client. Okay? They've come to you and said, I want a website and all these things. You're going to then turn around a quick proposal that highlights all the things that you're able to do for them. If they agree to everything that's in the proposal, then you'll send them a contract. They'll sign on the dotted line, get a deposit, and get to work. right? So proposal is just kind of like a quick outline of everything that you talked about and the services that you're going to provide. I have linked to 2 proposal examples. You can find many more online, but I like these 2, and they're free. You can get them for free. And so let's take a peek at them. So this is the Proposify template. I'm gonna have to like go back here real quick. I've linked to it. It kicks you out every few seconds. So here is a clean template. I actually don't know if they let you download it for free, but you can take all the copy if you want. They have given it to you for free. So here's what a proposal looks like. So you would go through this, and you would base your proposal on this. I would do like almost a page by page copy. If they don't give this to you for free, it's a page by page copy because it looks good. It has all the stuff that you need to care about that should go into your proposal. And then there's another one that I've given you here, which is a PandaDoc proposal that you can download this PDF. It's a PDF. You can just download it, and then you just edit it in any PDF editor that you might have. And what I would recommend is that you would kind of combine this proposal template and the Proposify template together to get like one decent proposal. Okay. And so after you've talked to a client, and we're going to talk about like that conversation, how you get to the proposal stage, but after you've talked to your client and you have a good idea of like what they want, it's a good idea to send them a proposal so that you know that you're on the same page, and then a contract. Here is Ibrahim's actual piece of his proposal. Once again, he gave me his consent to share this. This is the actual proposal that he sent to his first client that got him the $1,000. This is it. This is it right here. This is not even bull. This is like what he sent. It's not the whole thing. It's like the most important piece, though. So just because we wanted to respect the client's privacy too. So the estimate included logo design, final website development, and a total estimate of $1,000. And then also agreed to pay $100 like client retainer fee, which is very cheap. $100 a month is very cheap for like doing updates and adding a new blog post, whatever they wanted them to do. Like, that's cheap. Right? This is lowballing. This is cheap. And what I want you to say, like, the thing here is that I think a lot of you see this and they go, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. It's not. The value Ibrahim was able to provide for those $1,000 was next level. A beautiful website, finally showing up in Google, a logo that they can brand themselves around, right? All that value for just $1,000, right? That client skipped all the way home, right? That client skipped all the way home. Ibrahim felt like he got a good compensation for his work, and the client felt like they got a great website and package for their price. That's what you want. A good. It should feel right when you both kind of feel like you're getting a little bit, right? And so this was real. This was his first client. His very first ever client was $1,000. Now, what in the future he accepts something that low? Probably not. He's an engineer at Amazon now, right? His hourly rate just went straight up, or his per project rate just went straight up, right? But this is how they decided to break it down that made sense to the client and made sense for them. So what I would love for everyone to do is we're going to take a break. I would love if everyone could follow Ibrahim on Twitter. You all just change your Twitters. Follow Ibrahim. He shared his proposal. He shared his actual portfolio site. Like, that's putting somebody, that's a lot to share. So I would appreciate if everyone just gave him a follow just to say thank you for sharing all this information. And then we're going to take another break. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about how do you talk to a client Well, first we're going to look at contracts and a basic contract, and then we're going to talk about how to talk to clients, and then we're going to open it up to questions. So we're going to save that last hour for questions because I know there's so many of them. So let's go ahead. Let's take a 5-minute break. Please give Ibrahim a follow just for sharing all this wonderful information. And let's come back here in 5 minutes, and we're going to talk about contracts. And then after the contracts, I'm just going to open up the questions and answer all the questions that you have to have your first time hearing all this. So let's go ahead. 5 minutes on the clock. I'll see you all in 5 minutes. Get up, hydrate, do what you got to do. I'm going to put some tunes on while we take our break. And if you have fun, I'll answer fun questions. I don't want to answer any kind of like freelancing questions because I feel like I want folks to get away and grab some water, kiss some babies. So let's go ahead and if you have some fun questions, I'll answer them while we're kind of waiting here. Best stocking stuffer? Pokemon cards. Get out of here. What's my favorite fruit? Pineapple. Favorite vegetable? Cucumbers? Because I like pickles. Cucumbers, because they make pickles. For homework, I guess that's a fun question. For homework, you're submitting the challenge, the turning it from uppercase to lowercase, and then if you made any modifications to your JavaScript, I'll take those as well. My question for you is, did you pick your name? Is it an alias? My mind was blown that it was the same forward and backwards. You'll never know. What's your favorite animal? A tapir? How's the Overwatch app coming? You need? Hit me up on DM. I'm happy to share where it's at right now on Discord. Would love some feedback on it. Leon, would you rather have the entire Pokemon card collection or $2 million and you can never touch a Pokemon card again? The entire collection, it has to be, like, now at these prices, more than $2 million. So I would probably take the whole collection. If I couldn't, like, sell it, though, that's different. If I could sell it, I might take that because it might be more than $2 million right now. Nah, it's probably, I take the $2 million. $2 million, you can change your life with $2 million. I can't risk Pokemon cards over $2 million. That's a great question, though. I had to really think about that. Favorite cartoon? Hey Arnold, probably. You play Overwatch? Yeah, I used to play it a lot. CSGO is my main game, but Overwatch I do play here and there. I dabble. Favorite anime? Cowboy Bebop. Mandalorian or Queen's Gambit? I love chess, so definitely Queen's Gambit. And I have not paid for Disney Plus yet, so I have not seen The Mandalorian. Somebody want to give me their account info? I'll take it so I can watch The Mandalorian. Favorite TV show? That's easy. The Bachelor. Have you checked out Cyberpunk yet? No, a good friend actually gifted me the game. I haven't had time to actually play it yet. I was building out these slides for a while and finding all the examples and stuff for y'all. So hopefully over the break, I'll be able to. AK or M4? I'm one of those folks that played silenced, so M4 silenced. Although I'm pretty nasty with the AK just because, one taps. Did you see the random cedar trees all decked out? No, I haven't yet. Dev. What? Anonymous with 5 gifted subs? Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Wow. And it's like a gold box too. That's dope. I haven't seen that before. I'll give you my Disney Plus account for 1 million channel points. I can't give out channel points. It's the wildest thing. Like, Twitch doesn't let you give extra. I installed Stream Elements simply so we could have some other point system that I can actually give out. When we come back from break, a lot of stuff is going to be slightly different or extra, I should say. And so that's one of the things I've been trying out. All right, 30 seconds left, folks. Grab your water, do what you got to do. Best Netflix content you recommend? Oh boy. The Bachelorette is on Netflix now. Alley season, which is a great season. Great British Baking Show is my jam. I will watch that every single day if I could. So yeah, I would say Bachelorette, Alley season, great season of The Bachelorette, and then Great British Baking Show. Am I a Sixers fan? Absolutely. Can't be from Philly and not support the Philly teams. That's how you get beat up. All right. Come on back. Come on back, folks. Am I a Gritty fan? I think he's hilarious. Come on back, folks. Come on back. RC alumni panel? Absolutely. I'm down to do it. I'll reach out to some folks. When we come back from break, we'll do it for sure. Leon, did you say start a blog? I had a kid distraction. Yes. For folks that do not have the privilege of a locality that supports like reaching out to clients, remote work is their option. But to convince someone to hire you when you're not close often takes building up some sort of authority. And so a blog is an easy way to do that after you pick a niche. So I'm going to open up hours in January for one-on-ones, and I'm going to have a day that's specifically for folks that are not in the US that want help with freelancing. So I'm going to open up a day on my calendar specifically for that. So I'll share that out soon, but on that, I'm going to make it very clear, like if you're not in the US, don't take that day. But we're going to have a day. So like if you're sitting there like, shit, like I want to freelance, I'm not in a place that like supports it that well. I want to talk to you one-on-one and be of help. So we're going to do that. All right. Let's keep pushing. Let's talk about contracts. So you have found a client. They have agreed to your proposal. And after they agree to your proposal, you want to make sure that you send a contract. And if you watch Fuck You, Pay Me, you now know the importance of a contract and the purpose of a contract. A contract is just an agreement between you and the client. And the really important thing is that it protects both parties. And it says very clearly what happens when something goes wrong, right? When you're interacting with clients, things are going to go wrong. And your contract is going to typically state what happens when it goes wrong. What if we're not happy? What if we haven't hit the goals? What if there have been damage? Like any of those things should be laid out in a contract. Contracts shouldn't be scary things. They shouldn't be things that that you don't understand what's in. They're there to protect you and your client and to be a really strong guide as to what happens when things go sour. When you're working with clients, right? When you're working with clients, you're going to have some that just don't go well. And so the contract is what keeps that relationship like amicable and something that you both agree to going in. Here's the contract that I recommend all folks start out with. Once again, I am not a lawyer. I am not a CPA. I'm not a tax professional. None of this is legal advice, money advice, or tax advice. But here's the contract I think most folks should start with. Make the modifications that you need to make, like change where you're located. It's completely free. Stuff and Nonsense has put this out for a couple of years now. It's a really great starter one. It's on GitHub, meaning that other folks have like contributed to it and added to it. And so you can click that link. There's two websites that I wanted to point out. They have their actual website that has like a donate by PayPal. If you get a client and the client goes well, you get paid, and this person helped you with a free contract, send them $1. Be like, hey, thank you. Send them $1. Like, look, your contract maybe helped me get my first client. Like, that's what they're asking for. Yeah, I would do that. It's also on GitHub too. It's a little bit easier. And I put the link just so you can see the text. And there are two really important things. Even if you don't use this contract, maybe you find a different one. Maybe you work with a lawyer to develop a contract. You want to make sure these two important bits are in there. The first important bit, Kenny highlighted their message to say boom. I love it. The first important bit is that it's called an indemnification clause. And the indemnification clause means that if something goes wrong, anything goes wrong, it's not your fault and you can't be held liable for it, right? So let's say you build a website for a restaurant and they lose out on a couple orders. Maybe it goes down. Maybe the website goes down and they can't accept orders that day. And those orders were hundreds of dollars. The indemnification clause basically says, not my fault. You can't, not my problem. Sorry, I built this site, but there could be errors. I'm not taking ownership of those errors. This is a super, super common clause in contracts that you must have. It saves you from being on the hook for damages, lost profits, things like that. And it's one of the things that you want to talk through with your client, that you're saying hey, look, this is technology. Things can go wrong. I can't be held liable for them. Very important. The other one is, when does the individual get ownership of the things that you've built for them? And this clause right here is really important because what it says is that you own everything, but you are licensing it exclusively and in perpetuity to them, right? So you own it, but you are licensing it exclusively and forever to them once you have been paid in full. Once you have been paid in full, then that license transfers to them and they are able to use it. Now, the reason why you still want to own it is because you want to be able to add it to your portfolio. You want to be able to show it to other clients, right? So these two clauses, no matter what you do, you should absolutely include them in your contract, right? And if you haven't listened to Fuck You Pay Me, they talk about this in detail and why it's important. Definitely go back and watch that. Watch that twice. If you only watched it once, watch it twice. It's really important. Have I had a bad client? Absolutely. I've been doing this for 10 plus years. I've had my handful of clients that didn't like the work I produced, unfortunately. Did not like the time that it was taking me to build it, that did not want to pay me, that did not I've had a lot of things go wrong. I also have had a lot of really amazing clients. I've worked with a lot of big brands that you definitely know and have heard of. I've worked with lots of big companies that you've heard and that you know of. I'm very proud of the freelancing that I've done. And like I said, at one point, I was making more money freelancing than I was from my actual job. And so I've seen it all. And these two things have saved my butt more times than I can count. Have them. Make sure they're in your contract. And so once again, I've given you example proposals that are free. I've given you an example contract that's free, right? And so you don't have to pay to get this stuff up and going. All right. Let's talk about how to close. Somebody's interested, you send them a proposal, right? Or they're interested and you want to get them a proposal. Let's talk about the magic question. Here's my strategy for getting new clients. I get them on the phone. I almost universally do not talk through email. I hate talking through email. The reason why I hate talking through email is because you can't hear tone. You can't hear worry. You can't hear confidence. You can't hear that through an email. And so on the phone, you can pick up on all these cues. When you throw out too big of a number, you'll hear them go, you'll hear the gasp, right? When you throw out too low of a number, you hear them go, Like people, I've literally had somebody go, when I said out too low of a number because I fucked up and didn't do the magic question, right? So what I like to do is I like to get a client on the phone And I like to have them talk about everything that they want. What are their hopes, their dreams, their desires? What's the thing that they've wanted since they were little? I want to hear it all. And I let them talk and I let them talk. And I'm taking really good notes. What exactly do they want? What's the business problem that they're having? What do they want built? I'm listening to all of it. I'm trying to be like, all right, they've had a restaurant that's not doing too hot. They're not online. They haven't ever had a website. That's important. They never had a website. All right, so they never had a website. They want to get online quickly. They want to accept orders. All right, so they're going to accept orders. They want to get online quickly. Like all these things, I'm just listening. I'm absorbing. I'm writing down, taking really, really good notes. All right, taking really, really good notes. And then after they're done telling me all their hopes, their dreams, their wishes, after I've asked really good follow-up questions, why do you want to do this? Why do you want that? Where have you heard about this? Where have you heard about that, right? Once they're done saying everything, I ask the magic question. And the magic question is, this seems like a lot. This seems like a lot of stuff that you're asking for. What is your ballpark budget for this project? And some clients will go, oh, how dare you ask me about money? Some clients will go, well, what's your hourly rate? Here's what I want to do for you. We've just talked for the past half hour. There's a lot here. Building a website, taking orders, getting you online as quickly as possible. There's a lot here. What I want to do is I want to put together a proposal for you. A proposal that hits all these things that you care about and highlights what I'm able to do to solve them for you. Now, I could give you a proposal for $1,000. I can give you a proposal for $10,000. And I can give you a proposal for $100,000. You said you wanted to get this done quickly. I don't have the time or the resources to build out all those proposals. So if you could just tell me your ballpark budget, I can build a proposal that meets your needs in that budget range. And I don't need your exact budget, just ballpark. We talking 1,000, 5,000, 100,000, and they'll laugh, right? And then they say, all right, 5K. Great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a great proposal that's going to have everything that we just talked about, how quickly I'm able to get it done, and the final price for it. And it's going to be very close to your budget. You're going to review that proposal, and let's set a date right now in time to have a follow-up conversation. So today's Tuesday. I'm going to get this proposal to you by tomorrow. Tomorrow, this proposal will be in your inbox in the morning. Let's talk on Thursday. How about 5 p.m. Thursday? Is that a great time to talk? Right? And then that's it. So now I know their ballpark budget. I know everything that they want. And I'm going to build them a fabulous proposal that meets all the things that I think I can get done at that price point. Right? Simba's so excited. He's like, Simba's like, oh my gosh, this is so good. This is gold right here. It is gold, Simba. Right? And so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to turn around a proposal of all the things I think I can get done at that price point. They might not be fully happy with it. They might say, you know what? I want it to be a mobile app. For 5K, I can't get a mobile app done for you. For 5K, here's exactly what I can deliver. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. You're going to need to find a different freelancer, or we can talk about how to adjust the things that you really care about. Like, what on this list do you really care about that I can tweak or add or remove so that we can get to what you want at this price? And that's the proposal. And so on that phone call on Thursday, that's what we're talking through. We're talking through everything that they like now really want, because the half an hour phone call was their hope, dreams, and wishes. The Thursday call is like, let's be realistic. Like, what do you really want? Like, what can I get done at this price point to serve the business things, the business needs that you have? Right? And then they agree. Once they agree, you send the contract. Right? Now, up to you what you want to do for 5K. Up to you to pick what your hourly rate in your head's going to be. I never, ever share an hourly rate. I just don't. It doesn't help you understand what I'm going to be able to do for you. I much rather give you a proposal at your budget, And if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, I'm happy to refer you to someone else, or I'm happy to figure out what does work for you. And time again, this has gotten me fabulous clients. Had nothing to do with your hourly rate, had nothing to do. It's all about their budget and what you feel you can get done in that budget. Here's the keys when you're on the phone. You want to be firm. You don't want to acquiesce and do things that you don't think you can get done. You don't want to acquiesce and do things that you think would take too much time or not enough money. So be firm on what you want. You are going to lose clients. If you're not losing some clients, you're doing it wrong. If you're not losing clients, that means you're really underselling yourself and you're offering way too much for too little money. And they know it. Right? And they know it. So be firm. Be firm in what you can offer at that price point. Somebody can come to me and say, Leon, I have a $100 budget. I'll tell you exactly what I can get done for a $100 budget. You're going to get this phone call and a logo made on Namecheap. Right? I'll tell you what I can get you done for $1,000. I'll tell you what I can get you done for $10,000. But I'm going to be firm on what I think I can get done. I'm going to be firm on how long I think it's going to take me. I'm going to be very clear what I can provide. And I'm going to underpromise and always overdeliver. I'm going to underpromise and overdeliver every single time. I'm going to underpromise the things I can get done. And then when it comes time to deliver it, they're going to be like, oh, you added that one feature that I said was important, but we didn't put into the actual template, like into the actual contract. Like, oh, thank you. Like you want above and beyond. Like, so that's what I do. I always underpromise and I overdeliver every single client. Every single time. If you're not going into it, if you're going into it being like, I don't think I can hit that deadline, or I don't think I can get all that done at that point in time, or I don't think I can get it done that quickly, or I don't think I can get all this done at that price point, you're not underpromising. You're stretching yourself thin. It's going to go bad. Underpromise, overdeliver. Leave room to get help. This is in terms of time and money. Your first few clients, you're not going to have as much wiggle room. Your first few clients, you're figuring all this stuff out. You're going to make mistakes. That's okay. You want, if possible, with your first few clients to maximize time. That's the really important thing when you're first starting out freelancing. The money it's up to you. The time is what you want to maximize. Double it. Whatever you think, however long you think it's going to take you, you need to double it. So if a client comes to you and says, hey, I really want all this done for $500, and you're like, that's way too low of a price. One of the things you can negotiate with is saying, well, look, it's a little bit too much, too little for too much. But what if I get it done in 4 months? All right. Boss Babe, thank you for the gifted sub. Appreciate you. Right? Maximize your time early on. Don't say you can get it done in a day. Don't say you can get it done in a week. Don't say you can get it done in a month. If you think you can get it done in a couple weeks, say 2 months. Will you lose clients because of this? Yes. But leave yourself room to get help, either time or money. Whenever I take on a new client, I always leave enough room. So that I know that I can get help if I need it, and enough room that I can pay somebody to help me if I need that help. Like if there's somebody that I get stuck on something, if I need somebody else's expertise, there's always enough room in my profit to hire somebody just for a little bit. That's what I do on my contracts now. So in the beginning, make sure you're leaving yourself some room. All right. I laughed at this way too long when I first saw it. Like I said, we're gonna have like the last half an hour for questions. So if you do have questions, don't worry, we're gonna do it. I laughed at this way too long. A week, a month, exactly. What's the average turnaround time for projects of the cohort members? About 2 months. Yeah. Under promise whenever you're talking to clients. over deliver, can't say this more than enough, and communicate on a regular schedule. You can get away with a whole hell of a lot if you're communicating regularly. Whenever I'm dealing with a client, I say, here's how I'm going to communicate and how frequently I'm going to communicate. Every Friday, you're going to get an email from me with what we were able to get done and where we're at with the progress. Every Friday, you're going to get an email from me. So now they go into it expecting an email every Friday. Every Friday, that email is in their inbox by 10 a.m. Every Friday. Every Wednesday, they get a smaller email. Hey, just letting you know, we just got this really great feature done. If you have any questions, let me know. Right? So the schedule is, they know every Friday they're getting an email. And then pretty much like every Wednesday, they're getting like another like smaller message from me. You can get away with a lot asking for extra time. Heck, even asking for more money if you're communicating. Because I can't tell you the number of people that hire someone and then that person ghosts them. It is stupidly high. Communication and communicating regularly on a schedule sets you apart. It's the truth. It sets you apart. So do it regularly on a schedule. They should expect it, and then don't ever miss it. Get help when you need it. Don't suffer in silence. Especially your first few projects, you're going to run across things that you've never heard of. Be vocal. Ask for help on Discord. Join groups. If your client wants a Shopify store, I guarantee you there's a Discord community for folks that are Shopify developers. Join those communities. Ask questions. Learn. Take this as a learning opportunity as much as it is a money-making opportunity. All right. So now you've set up your online persona. You've done your outbound research. You got a client. The client, you've had your call. You figured out their ballpark budget. You sent them a proposal. They've agreed to the proposal. You sent a contract. They signed the contract. What you want to make sure when they sign that contract, we didn't talk about this, what you want to make sure is that your contract includes a deposit. A deposit. Now, it's up to you how much that deposit is. That deposit can be 25%, it could be 10%, it could be 50%. I do a 50% deposit before I ever lift a finger. I am not writing one character of code until I have a 50% deposit up front. Now, I have a long track record. I have lots of reference customers. So I have a lot of social proof. I'm very visible. You can figure out who I am and where I'm going to be. Right. So I can demand that 50% deposit. When you're first starting out, maybe not 50%, but at least 10, I would shoot for 25. I don't lift a finger until that 25%. You don't lift a finger until that 25% deposit clears. Not, oh, I put the check in the mail. Not, oh, it's going to, little PayPal is processing. Nope. You do not lift a finger until that first payment clears, like it's in your account, free and clear. Then you start. A lot of times your contracts are going to have a clause that says, all right, when I hit this milestone, you send me the next 25%. And then when I hit that milestone, I don't lift my fingers again until that 25% clears. Then I hit the next milestone, it's the next 25%. And then that last milestone, like the site's done, I have the site on my server. They can see it. They can interact with it. That code does not go onto their server, and the license does not transfer to them until that final payment clears. Full stop. I can't tell you how important this is, because it shakes out all the folks that aren't going to treat you right during this relationship. The folks that are going to weasel out of paying you on time, the folks that are going to lie, the folks that are not going to hold up their end of the contract, these are the folks that won't pay a deposit. So make sure you get some sort of deposit up front before you ever lift a finger. Super important. I don't care if it's a $100 client or a $100,000 client, some sort of deposit. How do license transfers work? It's not really, it's just, it's you giving them the site, basically. That's it. You don't have to do anything fancy. You don't have to submit a form or anything like that. And all of this goes in your contract. Exactly, indifferent. All of this goes in your contract. And in fact, if you look at the examples I give you, you can see that they are in the contract, that they are in the proposal. And so there are all these. I'm going to show you some more examples on Saturday. So on Saturday, we'll see more examples of this stuff for the office hours. But that's the idea. All right. Now, you got your first client. They have paid you. Immediately take that money and start doing the appropriate stuff. Right? You want to make sure that you invest that money, if you have the privilege to invest that money, into building a better portfolio, building a better proposal, building a better contract. If it's important to you, setting up a business entity like an LLC. In the United States, we have something called a limited liability corporation. Once again, I'm not a tax professional. I'm not a lawyer. In the US, we have something called an LLC. What that helps you do is it helps separate your personal money from your business money, so that if someone sues you or something happens, they can't steal your investment accounts or your house or weird stuff like that. They can only go after the business. Now, there are a lot of rules that you have to follow. There's a lot of things you have to do, but that's the main reason people set up an LLC. If you're setting up an LLC because you think it sounds cool and you don't have any assets to protect, you just wasted money. If you don't have any assets to protect, you don't have a house, you don't have anything big, you probably don't need an LLC out the gate. You could stand to take some time to set that up, right? But if you do have assets to protect, you want to set up that business entity quickly. You want to follow the rules that you need to set that up, right? And so, like I said, each country is going to be different. Each protection is going to be different. After you get that first client and they've paid you real money, probably invest in talking to a lawyer, CPA, and a bookkeeper. The LLC is going to cost different for each state that you live in. Some states it's very cheap. Some states it's very expensive. Like $500 for some states, a couple $100 for some, very little for others. But yeah, it depends on the state that you're in, how much it costs to file your LLC. And you're going to need a lot of paperwork and stuff around that. One of the things, if you're going to set up like an actual like C corporation, a lot of folks use Stripe Atlas now, which is a pretty cool service. They used to have an LLC service as well that was like $500 for everything, but I think they got rid of the LLC one. I think it's just a C corp now. But I really like Stripe Atlas if you're setting up a C corporation. If you're setting up an LLC, it's typically like a form that you can find on the state treasury. But let's say you had $1,000 client. You're going to put 40% away for taxes. And that last $600, you should probably be talking to a lawyer and say, hey, what's the minimum? Like, what do you have a package for setting up an LLC and all the stuff that it requires? Or maybe you go to one of those like services that do it for you. But yeah. So the idea here is that once you make that first bit of money, you want to be investing in these things if you have the privilege to. MacTay with the posture check. Thank you. Cool. All right. If you make an LLC in one state, you need to make a new one if you move states. I'm not sure if you just have to file doing business as, but probably it makes sense to move. I'm not sure. I don't know. I would have to research that, honestly. That's a good question, but I'm not sure. Cool. Oh, there we go. RBS got the facts here. LLC filing fees range anywhere from $40 to $500. As of 2020, the average cost to form an LLC is $132. So not wild money here, folks. If it's something that you need to protect, you have assets to protect. And there's tons of resources on this online. You can find all the resources on this for days. I'll share more on Saturday during our office hours. All right, that's it, folks. We talked about a lot. This is kind of like your first primer on freelancing. I know you're going to have tons of questions, so If you do !ask in chat, you can throw some questions in a Google form. We'll spend about the last half an hour going through those questions. And then as you have questions, keep submitting them in the Google form. And on Saturday, those are the questions I'm going to go through. So Saturday is just going to be talking about freelancing and any freelancing questions. And we're going to work through the questions that are in this form. So if you have questions, go ahead and ask them. I'm going to pull up the Google form on my end, and I'm going to start working through them. Cool. All right, so I'm going to start looking through these questions here. Some CodePen links, not sure what that is. All right. How much can we charge as a maintenance fee for a website we code? And then what does it typically maintenance cover? A lot of folks like maintenance fees because what maintenance fees do is they give you some like recurring money that's coming in. And basically what a maintenance fee is saying, hey, you are buying like 1 hour of my time every month. And the reason why you would do that is because that hour of time is guaranteed, meaning that that means like I won't have not enough time to help you because I might have other clients that I'm working for. So if you pay this maintenance fee or this retainer fee, that means you're buying like an hour or two of my time every month. That means I'm going to help you do some things. For some people, that's just making sure the site is still live. That to me is kind of, depending on what type of client, that's a little, that could be much, like in my opinion, because if you put it on like Netlify or something like that, like it's not going down. But for a lot of folks, it might be like, all right, maybe I want to add like a few bits of text here, or I'm having trouble getting like this new post up on the blog. And so what a lot of clients do is they feel really comfortable having the backing of you for at least an hour a month, and they pay a retainer or a maintenance fee for that. They're pretty common. I used to do them a lot. Like every contract I did always had a maintenance fee. And I felt kind of scummy doing it. So I stopped. I felt like I wasn't like providing enough value. And that's important to me. Like I always want to feel like I'm providing value to my clients. And I didn't feel like the maintenance fees were really providing value. And I rather they just reach out and I help them for a set price or something like that, instead of them locking them into a fee. Now, if you're doing consistent work for them, like if you're doing SEO work or you're doing like, they can't be bothered to put new posts or things like that, that's when those contracts make sense. I also like the flexibility of not being on the hook to help them. Like I didn't want a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning saying like something's down. So yeah, so that's up to you. Like I said, it's up to you how you want to play the game. Freelancing on the cord, stay wavy, Daddy Yankee. Yes, we'll put a freelancing channel on the cord. Just to clarify, are you a lawyer? No, I am not a lawyer, CPA, or tax professional. Leon, thanks for covering this topic in class. My biggest question is, how do freelancers compete with platforms like Squarespace, Wix, or WordPress? How do we sell ourselves over those sites? So here's my question to you. Do you right now know how to use Squarespace, Wix, and WordPress? Do you know how to use them? Like all three of them? If the answer is no, then you're going to have to educate yourself on how to use Squarespace, how to use Wix, and how to use WordPress. That's going to take you time. Eventually, you're going to get stuck. You're not going to know how to do it. You're going to have to Google. You're going to have to play with it. There's going to be some setting that you don't like. There's going to be some setting that you do like. And if you're trying to run a business, you don't want to have to worry about any of that. You rather pay somebody to help you with that. Don't see them as, I like that. Don't see them as competitors. They're a platform that you can use. Those are a tool in your tool belt that some clients will request, and they're going to pay you for that service. And so I don't see that. I think Squarespace is probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me as a web developer. A lot of clients love it, but they don't want to invest in learning how to do it. So I help them get it set up. It doesn't take me that much time. I don't charge them that much money for it. And we're all happy at the end of the day. So yeah, they're not competitors. They're tools that help you. Now, you're all here to be full stack web developers. When you're first starting out freelancing, a lot of the things you build will be static sites and blogs, which are pretty simple. But by the end, you're building full stack web applications, like apps that can run on Android and iOS, apps that run on Electron. And like, you're going to be building like really complicated stuff. And then you're going to see that value shift as well. So in the beginning, it seems like they're competitors, but not. They're tools. But as you learn more, the value you can provide increases, and the business needs that you can serve increase as well. Any suggestions on working day job, working extra at a day job, freelancing, learning, network? Only slightly overwhelmed. This is where we talked about this during office hours. And I should have asked him. Ibrahim was here, like Ibrahim that we all just followed. He was here for office hours, and he took my advice to schedule out their week, and it's beautiful. Like every day has a schedule, their time is accounted for, and they said they're never going back. They said they're never going back to not scheduling out their week. So if you have a lot of these goals that you're trying to hit, don't go into your week like an accident. Go into your week being planned. Gosh, 615, thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. I really hate Squarespace, not user friendly, man. Laugh out loud. Exactly. That's why clients will pay for you to do it. Don't go into your week like an accident. Don't go into a day like an accident. Have it planned out. Know how you're going to spend your time. Make sure that your loved ones understand like what days you're doing what. Like I love my wife. She knows Thursday nights for the boys, that's game night. Friday night is our date night, right? And we both agree that we get work during the week, and we kind of know that we're going to work during the weekends too. We both know that we take Sundays off. Like we like I'm actively sharing that stuff with those that I love, and I'm actively planning out my week, right? Make sure you're doing those things if you have all this stuff that you're trying to juggle. Hi, Leon. I currently work in a corporation with 60K take home, 105K base after tax. I wonder what some of the realistic expectations for take home money is when it comes to freelancing. So here's the thing. A lot of folks want to sell you on freelancing as like the dream. You're going to be in Belize on the beach, kicking back, drinking Mai Tais, and the money's going to be rolling in. The real thing is that it takes like 4 to 5 years for the freelancing ball to like be anywhere close to like a job salary. 4 to 5 years. Now, there's some people that do it way quicker and can magically do it. Yes. But remember, 30 to 40% is going out the window to the tax, right? Remember that it takes you a while to find these clients. It takes you even longer to find clients that are recurring. If I looked at my base, without giving too much away, if I looked at my base of freelancing, I would say that 50% of the freelancing money that I bring in every year is one client. 50% of what I bring in freelancing is one client. And that client comes back over and over and over and over again, right? Now, I'm not diversified, but I also have a full-time job. So to me, the freelancing is what I do on this side, right? But it takes a while to find those type of clients. They're going to keep coming back over and over and over again. And that can take 4 to 5 years to be able to have recurring clients. So I think freelancing is something that you should do on the side, right? Freelancing is something you should do on the side that helps you get that full-time job or supplements what you're doing in that full-time job. But it's very hard to replace your income with freelancing. It's very hard for this to be your full-time gig. And it's also just really stressful. If you don't have an emergency fund, not getting a client for 2-3 months in a row, that I can't tell you how much stress being a freelancer is if that's your only source of income and you don't have an emergency fund that covers that gap. So I like to keep it real. I'm not trying to say put this on YouTube and everyone's going to be rushing to learn how to make $1 million. No, like it's all bullshit. If there's anybody telling you that like you can buy this course and within like a month you can replace your income, it's a scam. All right. It's going to take a long time for you to build up a recurring base because you might get lucky. I have some students that get $5,000-$10,000 clients right out the gate. Like their hustle week, like the thing I'm asking you to do, they get $5,000-$10,000 clients. It happens once a cohort. Once a cohort, there's somebody that gets at least 5K. Their very first client. Now, can they do that repeatedly? No, it's not going to happen, right? So be careful. It takes time to build up that bankroll. It takes that time to build up those clients, and it takes time for people to respect and understand the value that you can provide to them. And it takes you time to figure out what that value is. Yeah. I was in a coffee chat, and this person essentially tried to throw me a softball to offer to do their website. I knew I couldn't do it at my current skill set, not imposter syndrome. I just knew that what they needed was beyond my levels, and I feel like I failed freelancing before even trying. So with these folks, if you feel like they're asking for something that's way out of your skill set, be a resource for them. Be a resource for them. Say, hey, look, I'm a software engineer. I feel like what you want might be out of my skill level, but I'm happy to take a call and help point you in the right direction and help you figure out what you do need. And when you're early freelancing, you're trying to build up that authority, right? So I would say, hey, let's jump on a 10-15 minute call. Let me see if I can help point you in the right direction. Let me see if I can refer you to someone else. Let me see if I can find somebody that can do the things that you want to get done. And then you've proven like you've given them some value, right? You've positioned yourself as an authority. They will never forget that. They will never forget it. And when you do feel like you're ready to take on those types of projects, you're going to reach back out to them and say, hey, I know we talked a long time ago. If you ever have a project similar to the one that you're doing, let me know. I've been doing it for a couple other clients. I'm happy to do it for you now. Right? Or you're honest. I don't think I can do this by myself. I'm happy to take on this project, but I might need to pull in another person. And then find that other person. All right? So in the beginning, if it seems too much, provide value. See if you can outsource. See if you can bring somebody else into the project. I bring folks into projects all the damn time. All the time. I don't have the expertise, but I'm really good at dealing with clients. I'm really good at dealing with other developers. And I'll be upfront. Hey, look, I have a couple folks that I work with on projects like these. I'm going to bring them in. I'll be your sole point of contact. We're going to make this the best application you've ever seen. And we make it work that way. Does WordPress allow us to play on it and build sample sites so we can tell clients we know it? Absolutely. So WordPress is very common. WordPress is like 10% of the internet. I don't actually know if that's true, but everybody says it. WordPress makes up like 10% of the internet. WordPress is free software. You can download it right now and run it locally. There are tons of quirks. When we ran an agency, like I used to help run an agency for resilient coders. When we were doing our agency, probably 90% of what we did was WordPress. Tons of bugs, tons of weird things, tons of things you have to learn, but clients love it because they want to build blogs and they want to be able to update content on their own. So there's something called a CMS, or a content management system. So you build the site and then somebody with like no technical ability can log in, change content, upload a post. That's what a CMS is. The most popular CMS is WordPress. A lot of my clients, I build static sites that have a CMS backend. So for me, I'm able to host their site on Netlify, but they still have like a platform they can log into and make changes. It's not WordPress. I use Forestry a lot. So they're able to use Forestry and still get away with free hosting. And it's way less complex to me than WordPress. You can make good money just specializing in WordPress and just dealing with clients that want WordPress. Is it the only CMS in town? No. Is it something that can be a great career? Yes. It's a lot of clients want it. Forestry. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. Oh my gosh, Alyssa. Jeez, every time. I don't even know why I try. Thank you, Alyssa. Yep. So it's technically called a headless CMS, but don't worry about that. It's just that's what I like to use a lot. I still do WordPress stuff for some clients because I've done it for years and I know what I'm doing. But yeah. So a lot of my clients use things like Gatsby and Forestry tied together or something similar to that. And like I said, you're a software engineer. So your time to figure these things out. All right, let's do a few more questions, and then we're going to end with a lovely raid like we normally do. So we're going to do maybe like 10 more minutes of questions. We're going to do like 5 more minutes of questions because I know we started a little bit earlier than what we have right now. And then we're going to do our raid. So please hang out, do the raid, spread some positivity, get those channel points. And your homework, just so that before we kind of keep going, your homework is to, if you haven't already, watch Fuck You Pay Me. If you haven't yet set up a portfolio, please set up a portfolio. Use a template. Set up your proposal and contract using the templates I provided. And then pick a vertical. Pick something that you want to take maybe the weekend to research and start reaching out to folks in that vertical. Meaning like, oh, I want to do restaurants, or I want to do hair salons, or I want to do whatever industry is popular where you are. Okay. All right, let's do 5 more questions, and then we're going to do our lovely raid, okay? So let's do 5 more questions, and then we'll do our raid. And then when we come back on Saturday, we're going to be talking all freelancing. I'm sharing more examples, more proposals. I'm going to see if I can get maybe a student on here, if I can figure that out, and going through all of your questions. So if you have more questions, I know we kind of just skimmed the surface on a lot of this stuff. If you have more questions, we're going to come back. We're going to go deeper. We're going to answer everything. I'm going to make sure that you feel comfortable, and then we'll take it from there. All right. Let's keep going, folks. Let's keep going. Got 5 more questions. And then, of course, we have class. We have class on Thursday too, but the office hours on Saturday will be all freelancing. All right. All right. Next question. I am confident on the front end and setting it up for a client. I need more guidance on the back end, shipping, payment, storing data. Reach out on Discord. I'm happy to kind of point you in the right direction for stuff. You're going to use off-the-shelf solutions. Basically, you're not going to build any of this. You're not going to build a lot of this. You're not going to be building like shipping backends. You're not going to be building like shopping cart backends. You're going to use tools off the shelf that you're going to combine to build battle tested solutions. And so a lot of this stuff is just research and then kind of gluing it together. Of course, there's lots of custom work that has to be done, but a lot of this stuff for kind of more traditional clients, you're just going to be using like the industry standard and using it, building with it, and getting help from those communities as you need it. Bud, glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Are you a lawyer? No. In regards to self versus business for a portfolio, what if I made a business to slightly shield myself, but still made it clear on the website that I was the creator of all the content? Like a pseudo business instead of my name, but it still shows me on the site. That's pretty common. I think a lot of people do that. A lot of people will have like I showed with Nyah, Afros and AI is her business, but whenever you go to the site, it's her, or like she was on like the CTO position there. So you can still have like a business entity that you're behind or working for. In fact, that's actually kind of brandable too, and it kind of has its own perks of doing it that way. But it's kind of up to you. Do you help with bringing traffic to a website or customer? As a freelance web developer, no. I have done a lot of growth hacking. That was one of my first, I did more growth hacking freelancing before I did web development. I was doing web development and then I started doing growth hacking a lot. And if you look at my classes and stuff that I used to teach, I did a lot of growth hacking. So I did do that, but it's not something that you would do as a new web developer. That you're just here to build product. All right. Do two more questions here, and then we're going to do our raid. What if you want to offer a client multiple services along with web development, such as a brand identity? Sean, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. Logos, what price range for that usually? I really don't like the idea of price ranges. I really like the idea of knowing what their budget is and then what you feel is comfortable to provide for that budget. You talk to different developers, they all charge different things. My hourly rate is $250 an hour, but what you would do in an hour and what I would do in an hour might be different. Right? So I really don't like hourly rate or settings. I've seen people offer what you're offering. I've seen people offer the full works, the site, the logo, the brand identity. I've seen people offer it for $5K. I've seen people offer it for $100K. There are some agencies where they won't even talk to you unless you're spending $100K. So it's really hard to kind of say what is standard. You should find what their budget is and figure out what value you can provide at that budget. But yeah, I've seen the whole range. All right, two more here, and then we're going to do a raid. Should we update our LinkedIn as a software developer if we're still employed in our unrelated role? I think that can maybe cause some weird things at work. It might be helpful for you to do kind of the back end way we talked about it. Hey, web dev, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. Right? It might be a way of doing it kind of the back way, which is where you mention the new skills that you're learning and things like that. Get all the keywords into your profile, but maybe not putting that you're a software developer at 100 devs when you're already working somewhere else too. Cool. One more, and then we're going to do a raid. Should we include design experience like Adobe or fine arts training on our portfolios or just highlight it on the resume? Heck yeah. You should put whatever you think helps you stand out to a client on your resume. If you are a waiter, a lot of you I've talked to were waiters, waitresses pre-pandemic, or a lot of you are bartenders. That's a big trend I've noticed of folks that are in 100 devs. If you're going to start targeting restaurants and bars for your freelancing, you know how valuable it is to go into those talks saying, hey, I was a bartender for 5 years. I know the troubles and things that you're working through. Or I was a waiter or waitress for 5 years. I know the things that you're going through. That gives you authority right out the gate if that's your niche. So you can use that to your benefit. You can say, hey, I used to do this. Now I'm a software engineer. I can provide the things that you need, but also a lens that other freelancers are not going to give you, right? An edge that other folks won't have that I will have. And so think about that. And that's what I want you to think about. As you're working on your portfolio, as you're working on your LinkedIn and your Twitter, right? Think about what value or your niche or how you can stand out from other developers. That's what we're doing. So think through that. And I'm going to ask everyone to have their portfolio started, their LinkedIn and their Twitter. I'm going to ask for all those links. And so that's coming Thursday. Thursday, we have a great class. We're back to JavaScript. And then after JavaScript, we have our office hours on Saturday, where I'm going to share more examples, more templates, more everything to kind of just get you going. And we're going to answer a lot of questions you might have about freelancing, because I know there's so much and we're kind of at the end of our time together. So I would love to end with a lovely raid. And then after that, I will send out the challenge for this evening. So there will be a coding challenge tonight that I'll put on Discord. All right. So let's go ahead and do a lovely raid. Let's go ahead and see our friend Nick. We haven't sent them some love in a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the raid now. Nick does a lot of like really cool data science, machine learning stuff. They are I think it's the machine learning like director for KFC. So let's go and ask them some fun questions. Alrighty, folks. Have a wonderful evening. Go send them some love, send them some follows, and I will see you all on Thursday and then Saturday for office hours. Let's raid.